to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
This is Parker. Go by Twig on forums.
This is Jeremy. The internet is for streaming The Office or other things. I don't know about this forum stuff.
Or wrestling.
You know what? Wrestling is fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. Today we have one announcement real quick. Parker, do you know what the announcement is?
Is about my probation.
It is about your probation. 10 episodes remaining on your probation.
Mm-hmm. And then
Just
I go to...
Yeah. And remember what happens when your probation's over.
I think, doesn't my punishment get worse? Isn't that
yeah, you get kicked off the podcast.
It gets worse.
Oh, no, that's right. We talked about it. First, you have to shave your head, and then when your probation runs out again, because that's your second warning, you have to shave your face. And then your third is final warning, you get kicked off the show.
If the actual justice system worked like this, I think we'd have very confused convicts.
I have to keep stealing?
Look, I've watched Making a Murderer. I'm pretty sure the justice system works exactly like that.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
All right, so moving on. Parker, I believe we have something to talk about.
Some news.
News.
All right. News is a little bit light today, but we did get 2 new cards and some information about upcoming models. First one is Lizard's card coming out. Super excited about this one. Very excited. The Lizard is a 3-point character, which I believe if we go back to the videotape from last time, the podcast, we all thought it would be a 4-point character, but he's a 3-pointer. 6 health on the front side, 5 on the back, 4 physical defense, 3 energy. We thought it'd be lower. It's not. And 3 mystic. So just the stat line. Can we just stop right here and talk a second about the stat line? This is not at all what we predicted was going to happen, right? Like, I was blown away by the stat line. I really expected him to be 4-2-3 or 4-2-2 or something like that. And 4 points. I'm crazy about the stat line.
The most premium thing in this game is damage. That's valued among over anything else is the amount of attack dice your character rolls. So given that he has a 4-dice strike, that allows a lot more wiggle room in the stat line because his offensive output and his power generation are much lower than average.
Okay. I think that's how they definitely they cut that corner. Speaking of his primary attack, it is a range 3, however, not a range 2, called Tail Whip. It does 4 dice, but it's range 3. He gains power for every damage dealt, and it has a wild push for any character size 3 or less. His other attack, his Spender, is a range 2, 3 cost, but rolls 7 dice. If an attack deals damage, the targeted character gets bleed and slow automatically. No wild needed, just damage. So even though I agree with you, as soon as they brought down that 5th die down to a 4th die, that's how they did it. But they giving him range 3, a push on a wild, means he's useful in a scenario. Like even if he does no damage, he's not really a beater because he's got the push on the wild. He's only got 4 dice to do it, but he's there. And the cold-blooded costs 3. I don't know how often he'll do it, but when he does get to do it, it's not a pussy attack, especially with bleed and slow.
So yeah, obviously the 1 less die on the attack isn't just that he does less damage, it's less power generation as well. And everything he can do costs 3, which means unless he's taking damage, he's not really doing anything. He's just kind of standing there. Having like a coin flip to push people if you attack them twice is not overly impressive. I mean, this guy's offensive output is similar to Black Widow's for the most part, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. Clearly, he is incredibly resilient, and his big attack's pretty solid.
We already knew that he had a throw size 3 or less within 2. He can throw it short. Terrain or enemy characters cost 3 power. Thick hide, of course, is where he gets his durability. If he suffer any damage, you can lower by 1. to a minimum of 1, and then, of course, also healing factor, and to top it all off, a little cherry of wall crawler. So he actually ignores terrain.
Mm-hmm. He has 11 hit points as well for a 3-point character. That's pretty solid.
He has 6
11.
on the front. I mean, he has 6 health on the front. He has 4 defense against physical, which is really strong. I mean, a 6-4 in those stats is pretty serious. And, you know, I mean, Parker, he's one of your favorites. Like, I think he slots in Avengers really well.
Yeah, he's going to slot the Bifrost Bruisers list that we talked about last cast that I'm excited to play. He's going to go great in there as a 3-cost way to cheapen the list if you ever get a small point. He's going to go really strong in Avengers. I like this guy a lot.
He's a good middle ground. I think he's average to above average, where you want most models to actually land when they produce them, right? Like any of these new guys, you don't want to see shit that like changes the game. Like you want to see stuff that's like fits maybe like 1 or 2 lists and kind of lands in there. I feel like there's only so many like Scarlet Witches that exist.
Yeah. No, for sure. And this guy is the definition of a cheap tank, which is what you want when you're going to take him. He fits a really solid role. There wasn't really anybody that did this specifically. There wasn't like a semi-utility character that will just hold on forever. Closest probably being Groot, but Groot's offense is noticeably lower, I think, because he's even less likely to use his spender attack, and Groot can't just throw you away like Lizard can. So Lizard will probably fill that go-to role where Groot kind of sat before.
It's a really cool model too, right?
Mm-hmm.
His model is awesome. Popping up out of the sewer. It's so cool.
Yeah, and having a range 3 on your basic attack isn't bad, but it's only 4 dice. So I think the big part, though, is that because his spending attack is only range 2, if you get put into a situation where you're only moving to within range 3 of people, then what happens when you actually want to use your big attack? Now you're going to move and just do the 1 attack? Like, it kind of puts you in a weird spot. I don't know that the range 3 attack is that big of a deal, but it is certainly convenient.
Yeah, he's a medium move. He sticks around for a little bit. He's not a chump. You're going to have to deal with him. He's got a throw on models, so he's useful regardless. Like, regardless of situation, he's going to be useful.
Yeah. Good stuff.
In other news, speaking of useful, Kraven's Tactics card. So, the card is called Fearful Symmetry, based off of a very famous moment in the Kraven versus Spider-Man saga. The Fearful Symmetry card is unaffiliated reactive card when Kraven the Hunter KOs an enemy Peter Parker. If there is no Peter Parker in your squad, Kraven the Hunter may play this card. So basically, if you're not playing Peter Parker, but your opponent is, and Kraven is the one who KOs their Peter Parker, you can play it. Basically what happens is Kraven the Hunter immediately transforms into Spider-Man Peter Parker. Replace Kraven the Hunter's stat card with Spider-Man Peter Parker's stat card on its healthy side. Move all damage tokens, power, special conditions, objective tokens, and effects from Kraven to Spider-Man Peter Parker, and he is now part of your squad.
Why would you ever play this card?
I don't know.
It seems like the worst card in the game. And it's not because I don't like Peter Parker Spider-Man. I actually do like Peter Parker Spider-Man a lot. I just don't know why you would start the game with Kraven, randomly get paired up against a Peter Parker it's not just Peter Parker Spider-Man, it's any Peter Parker. So it's either Amazing Spider-Man or normal Spider-Man. Then kill them with Kraven and then want to change characters. That's what I don't understand. Like, the second part, like, okay, I get what it does, but why? Like, I just don't understand why. I get that Spider-Man is a 4-point model and Kraven is a 3-point model, but still. Like, if he turned into the Amazing Spider-Man, I'd be a little bit here for it, but not really. Because what are the fucking odds that he's getting played? Like, I just don't understand. Like, in what universe do you have the tactic slot to justify this card?
Yeah. It's really, 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 really weird. I almost feel
Pretty niche. Yeah.
it's almost as if when I read this card, I went, "Oh, cool!" For some sort of Kraven the Hunter theme, Kraven the Hunter or Spider-Man themed, Ultimate Encounter. Like that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, "This looks like a card that belongs in an Ultimate Encounter. That forces one player to play Spider-Man, and the other player gets to play a special Kraven or something like that. That would be like that's what this is for. Spending time to print this and like having an artist create it and put it on cardboard. I don't know who okayed this. Let's make this card that only works in this 1/100th of a game. I don't. To line
Okay,
this,
so
to line this up, should we start doing just the math of how likely this is going to happen? It's
yeah,
got to be like
that's actually what I'm doing. So
thousands,
hold on.
right? Like
We have how many characters are there here? Let me check. There are 86 listed, so it's actually I think it's 7 less than that. So we have 79 characters in the game, I believe, or at least that are on the database list. So we'll call it 80 to round up. So there is a 1 in 8 chance that your opponent is playing Web Warriors that has Peter Parker in it. And then there's probably a 50% chance, probably higher. We'll just round it up to 75% chance that they play Peter Parker during the game. And so 1 in 8, 75%, that's like fuck. I have to use a calculator. Hold on. It seems very low.
Twice ever in the history of the game.
Yeah.
How about that?
Times 0.75. So we're talking a 9% chance currently, and then you have to be playing, and assuming that you're playing Kraven, and there's not like a weighted faction selection thing, we're looking at probably around a 10% chance that you even get the matchup, let alone Kraven will fucking kill Spider-Man, which seems less than likely with the way things are progressing. Like, I just don't understand. Like, you can't tell me, like, how is that card, even if that was your plan from the get-go, how is your card, that what you're doing, not playing Mark for Death? Like, you should be playing Mark for Death, not fucking Fearful Symmetry. Like, if you want to win the game, play Mark for Death.
Listen, do we have a new worst card made? Like, is that what this is? Because it's real bad.
This is going to go in the anger management slot for me. Like, it's a cool card, and I like the thematic of it, but unlike Sibling Rivalry, its effectiveness is just off the charts useless. Thunderwave and Repulsor Blast are better than this card.
Now, so look,
Ricochet Blast.
The designers of this game did come out and openly say, wait till we release Kraven, we've got some weird shit that's going to be like, what the fuck? And
maybe the other card says if Kraven turns into Spider-Man, you instantly win the game. Maybe that's what the other card says.
It could be. It could have another card. What the fuck?
It's Exodia.
I am completely fine. I want to go on the record. I'm completely fine for them printing just fluffy, silly cards.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Because we're going to end up, and you can already see it, there's massive Tactics cards bloat. There's 120 Tactics cards in the game already before we get these next 11 releases. Like, it's fine if some cards are super thematic and not good. I'm not complaining that the card is bad. I'm just complaining that, like, I'm just looking at it analytically. I'm not mad that the card exists. It's fine that the card exists. And I would like to encourage the developers to keep making cards like this. But don't play this card if you're trying to win the game. Play this card if you're trying to have fun and you're playing your Web Warrior buddy and you guys just want to, like, play fun Web Warrior games.
Yeah, this is one of the very first cards I feel like exists purely to create a narrative, right? Like,
well, how about this?
You're doing this because you want to see a narrative happen in your game.
There could be an organized play event or a like Ultimate Encounter, but like the Vibranium Heist, there could be like a spider hunt.
Yeah, that's what I suggested.
Yeah, you play all the spider villains, and okay, well then there's like something cool that could happen on top of that.
Yeah,
but I still don't know how turning into Peter Parker makes that scenario better.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. And so I was actually going to ask you, is this a thing that happens? Because people always told me that Kraven will disguise himself as Peter Parker, but does he tear his face off and cover his own face with Peter Parker's face and is like, I am now Peter Parker? Is that what happens? That doesn't seem to me like what happens.
Well, so it's part of Kraven's Last Hunt, which is the famous storyline where Kraven, gets the best of Spider-Man for a while, and no spoiler alerts for anybody who's excited to read it. But if you do this, you're doing like a big switcheroo that happens in the comics, right? He does this big switcheroo for a second, and freaks everybody out with it. So.
Wait, I'm gonna guess the situation. Tell me how close I am. Peter Parker shows up at this zoo where Kraven has challenged him to a showdown at a zoo, and he gets there, and there's another Spider-Man there, and he's like, "Oh no, which Spider-Man is me? Is that me or am I me?" And he has this long, drawn-out conversation with the other Spider-Man, but which one of them is the real Spider-Man? And then Kraven takes the mask. I was like, "Nah, just kidding. I'm actually Kraven." Is that what happens?
No.
Damn it! How close was I? I was within like 9%, right?
You were 4%.
I was actually going to say 10% is what I was going to say. Actually, I feel like
That's the odds of this card being legally playable in a game, so that's good.
But you know what? Like you said, if they're gonna make cards and they're not sure where they'll land, fuck it. Mm-hmm. Put them in this category of like,
that's fine.
Fun and silly and kind of like, gotcha, ha 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 ha. Because legitimately, like, that card will be played in specific things where it will be played. It'll never make it to any sort of other. Because, I mean, think about it. Everyone was crying about how bad Peter Parker is when he's not in Web Warriors. From the get-go.
Well, right. So but I understand the point of like getting to play the card because Amazing Spider-Man is definitely going to be popular when it comes out, right? We all agree on that. Mm-hmm. He's going to be all over.
Craven isn't killing a single Amazing Spider-Man ever.
That's kind of my point. If the answer was, man, the counter to the Amazing Spider-Man is one of the two options following. A, use a 3-point Kraven to kill him. If that was the answer, the Amazing Spider-Man is not on the list of problems. And B, having my own Peter Parker Spider-Man also fixes the problem. You should just play Peter Parker Spider-Man and not play Kraven, if that was the problem.
Yeah, it's
so I just wanted to bring up those 2 points real quick.
Yeah, it is very. I'm actually going to say. What's this? I'm actually going to disagree with you guys. I don't know if I like that this is the game. Not because I don't love the fluff of the game. Like, I love the fluff of the game. But they already have a narrative version of the game. Like the crisis encounters and those special events like the heist, those are the narrative events. The fact I don't like that they're even putting this on a card and putting it in a box. Because
you can't say that because the narrative events that we have, like Vibranium Heist, that does tell a story, but you can't tell the story without the cards and the models. Like, you still need a base to build upon. Like, sure. Vibranium Heist wouldn't mean anything if Black Panther's not in the game.
Yes, but
and there's not a Wakanda Forever card.
But the Wakanda Forever card is not designed for the Vibranium Heist. The Vibranium Heist cards are designed for the Vibranium Heist. So you can play, and yes, Black Panther's in the game, and I think Kraven should be printed absolutely. I think absolutely you can make a Kraven the Hunter, and then make a really cool Sinister Six or the Gauntlet. I'm going to talk about the Gauntlet later in my comic corner, but like make a really cool event of the Spider Foes versus Spider-Man team theme. That's great. I'm all for that, but I think it's like I said, I don't know why. I don't know who's thought it would be a good idea to print this in Kraven's box. Unless maybe they're just trying to make everybody think he's a fool. Like, they're trying to make everyone feel like they actually do in the Marvel Comics universe, which is he's a total joke. Like, I don't like that there's a joke card in his box. I think that makes it...
That's what I'm trying... Stop! I'm trying to ask you. Are you mad? I don't understand. Are you mad that the card is bad? Or are you mad that they printed a thematic card in the game? I don't understand.
I think it's more the second one. Because I am totally fine with them printing one for a special event or an ultimate encounter, and you know that you're playing Infinity Gauntlet Thanos, and so Infinity Gauntlet Thanos may have a tactics card that comes with him that is not very useful in the game, but it's cool because you're playing the Infinity Gauntlet Crisis Encounter with Thanos, and it would just be cool for him to do it, right? So I think that's a really, really cool thing to do when you're playing that kind of game scenario. But so far, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but the tactics cards that have been put in the game so far, even though they have been thematically leaned, and I'm always excited about them being thematic when they are also tactically applicable to the generic set of this game, which is you never know exactly what kind of mission you're going to get, what kind of objective you're going to get, what kind of team you're building or playing against, and so that's why it's called a tactics card, right? You're planning tactically what's going to occur after you have your general strategy when you build your list, and the fact that they call this a tactics card and they put it in a box with a model that's supposed to get played in any game, when clearly we just described how mathematically impossible it is to see it until you get exactly the one game that it works in.
So hold on. I'm still very confused. So you said that you said it was the second one. So you're more upset that it's a thematic card in the game, and then you just said you like thematic cards.
I am upset that it's a thematic card put into Kraven's box.
Okay, so hold on. I want to do this rapid fire question because I need to figure out what the problem is.
Sure.
So you don't like cards like Sibling Rivalry?
I like cards like Sibling Rivalry.
Okay, so you don't like cards like Thunderwave? I'm trying to see what the problem, because you said doesn't make sense.
I don't like cards like Thunderwave, but we all agreed when we reviewed Thunderwave that it was printed in a time we didn't I think they printed that when they didn't know a lot about the game, where they were going to take it, so they were unsure how powerful they wanted a damage card, a damaging tactics card to be, and so now we see damaged tactics cards that are more well balanced to actually have impact on the game, and they're worth a slot. So I think Thunderwave is a difficult one. But I think Civil Rivals is a really great example of a thematic card that you can play that will create a great impact on any game you play it in, right?
So you would not like this. You would like this card if he became the Amazing Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker Spider-Man.
No. I think this card is so niche. I think it's so tiny and minuscule and ridiculously difficult to pull off. I think it should be in a crisis that requires you playing Kraven and a Spider-Man. I think that's what it belongs in.
So it is strictly because the card does not function well in the game.
Yes.
So it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a thematic card. You don't like it because it's terrible.
I don't like it I don't like it because it's so ridiculously restricted. But in order to make its theme, in order to meet its theme, right? In order to make it thematic, because I think it's, for example, Sibling Rivalry is a good example of a card that Thor throws Loki, so the only restriction is have Loki and Thor in your list. You have all the control over it. If this card, it says Kraven must fight Peter Parker. Well, what if it said Kraven the Hunter KOs an enemy?
Right, I was going to ask that next.
If he
kills anyone, he becomes the guy.
I would say it's a fantastic card to play. I don't know if you actually play it, because I don't know if Kraven's going to be excited to turn into Spider-Man, but I think it's a really interesting card to play at that point. Then you're actually talking about a tactical card that might make sense in a certain matchup, because you're playing Spider Foes. You're playing Spider Foes, but you don't need Kraven, but Kraven's only 3 points. You could turn him into a 4-point Spider-Man because you want a control effect. That becomes a cool card. That actually makes Kraven's card similar to Sinister's card, right? The new one for Sinister. It would be interesting to watch Kraven turn into precisely only Spider-Man Peter Parker if he kills someone. I think that's a really cool card at that point, and it marries the theme of the concept with the ability to actually see it happen ever.
So the only thing I can think of, logically, because there's no way the designers of this game that printed a game this balanced to this point thought this card was good or even playable.
Right.
There's no question in their minds that this was not functional within a regular game. And so either one of two things happened. They're doing this just because someone in the office or some good friend of theirs loves this story arc so much that they wanted to make sure it had a functional component in the game, which I could see happening. Or two, this is meant as a playtest towards other mechanics similar to this. Kind of like I think Hulk was a playtest for how non-injurable models work. I think Ebony Maw was a playtest for Magneto or Scarlet Witch, kind of both, really. The big Mystic Defense characters. Or they could have been, I guess, I think it's pretty much one of those two. I think it's a playtest for a future mechanic, or I guess we just don't know something. Like there's something we don't know, and so maybe I'm trying to think of something other than it works in this event, which would be a dumb answer because you wouldn't design in-game cards around an event. You would design the event around in-game cards.
That's exactly my point.
But I don't think it's fair for you to say I dislike this because if it said event only, would it matter? It's in the exact same place in the game, which is don't play it in normal games. So I don't think it's fair to be mad at the designers for giving you the option to play it in a normal game, even if it's bad, because it's still your choice. I like having choices.
Well, I guess here's my other thing. If Craven comes with the 2 tactics cards he was going to get and then also Fearful Symmetry, totally fine with that. But when you restrict the pool of tactical capabilities of Craven the Hunter, when you make a model unequal to every other model that's ever been released because you're putting a card in there that is automatically useless, that seems weird. I know there have been tactics cards.
I definitely don't think that's the case. It's not like every character has exactly 2 cards with them or anything. It's totally random. Like there's a bunch of characters that have 0 cards.
Yeah, but okay. So let's say in the maybe this is. I was about to go down a hypothetical path of talking about how the dev said, I want to make a Craven card, and then somebody goes, ooh, Fearful Symmetry, and they pitch that idea, and it gets printed, or they hash it out, and this is the one they come up with. Now I'm being too hypothetical to imagine exactly how the process works.
Well, I was gonna say because like Scarlet Witch got 3 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got No More Mutants, Whims of Chaos, and Difficult to Please. All 3 of them require her to play. And then looking back, like Taskmaster got 0, and like, when admittedly, like they're not really equal characters in the fluff either. But I'm trying to think of a 5-point model that had no tactics slots.
Every 5-point model had a tactics slot.
Pretty sure they do because a lot of 5-point models come by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sort this by threat level. So Thor has a few. Ebony Maw has 1. So like, there's a disparity right there. There's like 3 to 1. Angela, what was Angela's card? Rainbow Bridge, but that's not really hers.
Oh, you're right.
That's just
Angela
an
does not have
card.
one that says Angela on it. There you go.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're adding a bunch
Black
of
Bolt, I don't think has one either.
I think you're adding a bunch of things to these cards that just aren't true. Like they're kind of doing what they want, and I'd rather them fail. They can fail this direction and not the other. I don't mind if they fail this direction. That's fine.
No, that's generally the kind of point of view I was trying to get to by talking with Parker about what his thought was.
Gotcha.
So there's not a set amount of cards they get. It's not like, well, you get 2 and this burned one of his 2, so he's forever going to be like disadvantaged. Like, that's obviously not the case because they've already shown they're going to print as many or as few cards for people as they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not removing any resources from him. It's not making the pack more expensive because a card costs basically nothing. And so they're just giving you an option that you wouldn't have had if they didn't give it to you. And so at no point can it possibly be bad for the game unless, like Jeremy was just saying, they miss in the wrong direction. If this card comes out and it's too good, that will damage the game. If it comes out and it's garbage, that won't damage the game. That'll just annoy Parkers, I guess.
So let me give you the other example of this. I would currently say that No More Mutants is a little bit too strong. That's the other argument on this. Like, No More Mutants is really dumb on a character that is really playable. Like, it's
the character is playable,
strong.
but she's not like MODOK playable. You can't just put her anywhere.
Maybe, but I'm just making the argument for the other direction.
Yeah, sure. How about Last Minute Save then? Like, if we're just going to talk about cards that probably shouldn't exist in their current incarnation.
Yeah, but the dog is one of those models you have to decide you're going to do that. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, if we're talking No More Mutants, then Last Minute Save is definitely on the table.
Okay, perhaps. All right, let's move on. We've gone.
No, I don't want to move on.
We need to move on.
I don't want to move on.
You need to move on.
No,
move
I
on.
need to move on.
Why
don't you move on?
I will actually say one more thing about it. I'm not moving on.
Okay, don't move on.
Which is to say that the part that, and this is just me, and I think you probably hit on something, Brandon, which is just the Parkers won't like this kind of tactic And so it's just kind of a matter of taste than a matter of rules. Because you are correct. There's nothing about the balance of the game that this card affects. And I can totally be inventing the image in my mind that there are, resources that, a limited amount of stuff you can put into a pack.
I love that your argument against this card was you're imagining the boardroom in which this character was designed.
I know.
And I know for a fact that this card pushed out something else. I'm like, I don't think that's how this works at all.
I said, and I prefaced it with that. I think I'm being too
I know. It's just, I found it entertaining.
Yeah. So I will say this, though. The fact that this card exists in the same game that, Last Minute Save exists for a 3-point model that comes into the game, kind of a side character, a fan favorite to some people, but, that's it. I look at those two cards, I'm like, why? And that's what ticks me off. I go, why? Why does this exist when this other one also exists? And I guess everybody can be pissed about. I guess I should be pissed about Lockjaw then instead, but I'm not, because Lockjaw looks fun and interesting because of the card. Kraven looks more derpy because of this card. Like, Kraven already looked like, a wet potato, and now he just looks like hot trash. Not because he actually is, but because this card is such garbage. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with Kraven. He seems like a really solid 3-point model.
I think he's interesting-ish, but I'm not, what's the best way to put it? This game is, I'm supposed to want to buy it, right? It's also a business. I'm supposed to get excited to purchase it. I'm going to buy this box because of the lizard and throw away Kraven like we did with Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf.
No.
And that's how I feel.
Now, you can throw this Tactus card away if you want, because that might solve your whole problem you're having here.
It might.
No, but so my problem is always if taking choices away from me is your idea of making the game better, I disagree with that philosophy. That's basically just my main point. I would rather have more options, even if they're silly and dumb, than not having the options in the first place. And also, when it comes to like the compelling point of the game's supposed to make money, I would much rather than worry about trying to sell a character pack by each tactics card they make, because that's where you lead yourself down a really dangerous rocky road where shit gets out of hand real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's fine. Obviously, this is not... If every tactics card coming out turned into this, I would be annoyed. But I think it's okay to throw in a silly card every couple packs. All right. So we've now covered bulletin point number 2.
Well done.
Is there anything else we need to talk about on Kraven? No, it was just a tactics card. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next bit is we know what's coming out in July, and I really want to know how you're going to spin this last bit, Brandon. You go ahead, talk a little bit about July releases, because we got this information from you.
So
I want to know. I want to know how you can spin this to be correct. Go ahead.
What are you talking about? This is going to be easy.
No, it's impossible.
I can tell what's happening here is you're misreading my shorthand,
uh-huh.
and it's going to be fine.
Okay.
So the first one, we have Captain Sammy. Sam Wilson, the king of flying like an eagle, and War Machine. What? Shut up! I really hope both of these characters have tactics cards that turn them into different models. We can just have like face off the game. It's just all 8 of our tactic slots are if War Machine KOs Hulk, he becomes She-Hulk, and then like if Sam Wilson KOs Black Widow, he becomes like Enchantress. And it's just gonna be like how can you worm your way into a usable squad with garbage? That's what I really hope. Alright, so anyway, Sam Wilson and his best friend War Machine. Rhodey, right?
Yep.
James Rhodes.
That's it. You read it.
Alright. I'm actually excited for War Machine. Sam Wilson looks really boring. Like a blank sheet of paper with nothing written on it and just like placed in a printer. That's how interesting he looks. Moving on, we have some more mutants. I believe we requested no more mutants, and now we're getting more mutants, so that seems not acceptable. We have Jean Grey and Cassie. I'm going to call her Cassie from now on.
Oh my god. If you knew anything about that character, you'd know how terrible that is. She is not a Cassie.
She is a Cassie. Why, is she too sassy?
No, she's not a Cassie. I don't think anyone. There is a Cassie that everybody calls Cassie in the Marvel universe, and she's definitely a Cassie.
No, it's Cassandra Nova. Is Cassie.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Jean Grey and Cassandra Nova. That was fast. Does
Yeah.
anybody else think that was really fast?
That was
That
really
we like
fast.
got her model and a week later we had a release date?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really
Well,
fast.
I mean, they do this all of the fucking time with the here's models, here's pictures of models, here's a little update, here's a note about the model, here's a thing, blah 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 blah, and then they'll release that, and then Mr. fucking Sinister plops out of fucking nowhere. This
What are you talking
happens
about?
all the time.
We knew Sinister was coming, didn't we?
I don't know, 2 or
Pretty
3
sure
weeks
we-
before he dropped. We didn't know he was dropping when he
No.
dropped. No.
Yeah,
No.
we did.
No,
We knew
we
we
were
knew
still
about him
looking
at least
X-Force right in the
at
face.
least a month before.
Perhaps.
No, you're just forgetting because the time between the last release and Sinister coming out was like 8 weeks because there wasn't the release in May. You're just forgetting those 8 weeks that we were waiting for shit to come out because we knew about him before X-Force was supposed to come out.
Hmm.
Hold on, I'm checking now because you're calling me out on this. I
No,
think you're wrong.
I think you're
I'm-
the one who is wrong. With
You're
the
the
wrong.
wronger one. We had his card in April.
Yeah,
I posted his card to the Discord in April. 2 weeks.
he dropped in May.
Bitch, he came out in May.
April came out in May. That's
You
way
said 2
like
weeks.
we've known about Amazing
You're
Spider-Man
insane.
since like I don't know
You're
what
insane.
Christmas.
Dude, no, we knew about Sinister long before he came out.
I think you're wrong.
No, because we knew he was in this release. March 24th, I posted Sin's card. No, we knew about him. He came out in like one of the art demos, didn't he?
I feel like
we got his first little bit.
No,
but
yeah,
they-
we saw him in the November
X-Force.
video.
in
What
the
are you
X-Force
talking
trailer.
about?
Yeah, the X-Force trailer video.
He came out in the Deadpool trailer like last year. We had like
We still-
5 to
we
6
don't-
months notice on him.
We still don't have them.
So?
We don't have any.
No,
of
I'm
those.
talking about the time between we know the model is coming out to when it comes out. Because we didn't know Jean Grey was even on the list until X-Men dropped in December.
we
no,
never.
was it- was it-
we have not seen her model yet, have we?
Yeah, they posted her model like last week. That's what I was saying. It was just
Oh.
quick that we saw her model and then immediately we had a release date like a couple days later. That was just surprising. I guess there was concept art for her in one of the art videos. Anyway, I still have no idea what Cassandra Nova is or why she's in the game. Is this the biggest unwanted model so far?
Cassandra Nova.
Yeah.
I mean, from this guy's perspective, yeah.
And you know probably more about you guys know more about the mutants than anybody else I know. So if you guys don't know about her or want her in the game, I don't know why they're making her. It just makes no sense to me.
I mean, I know all about her. We're gonna do. I'm gonna do a comic corner with the only issue she's like the main issue that she gets debuted in.
Okay.
People can make
The
it up
one
their own
time,
but-
the 1964 edition
Yeah.
when she was first introduced and then never brought up again.
All right, and then the last pack we're getting is Omega Red. Those are the 3 packs we're getting, just Omega Red. This is a huge missed opportunity because obviously
Oh.
Colossus should have come with Omega Red.
I know. We're all sorry about that.
It just makes sense.
You're gonna have to shave your head now.
Okay, so then who comes with Colossus, do you think?
Shadowcat.
You think so?
I'm sure Shadowcat's coming in this game.
Yeah, I think she'll be in the game.
Yeah, and Colossus and Shadowcat. Well, they were a serious item for a while. They're a couple. I bet it's Shadowcat.
So I was actually thinking it might be Teenage Warhead because of the
The
Deadpool,
Deadpool movies. There you go. That's another option.
And also, we already have X-Force in the game, and she's kind of a big deal in X-Force.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
You are correct. It could be Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who in the comic books is a totally different character, but also equally awesome.
Yeah, they kind of did their own thing for the Deadpool movies.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Shatterstar was in the movie and just gets immediately gooped on a helicopter.
But he has the blue blood though. I love it.
hmm
It's perfect.
Wasn't it green? I thought it was green.
Or was it
blood.
green? I thought it was blue.
Yeah. It was definitely a weird color.
Yeah.
He just gets like salsa over the chopper window. All right, so Parker is still winless on bets.
What do you mean?
Moving on. You didn't bet me. I said, who wants to take me up on this? And you said, no bet.
Oh yeah, because I thought
Because you thought it was so likely to happen.
yeah, I thought it was so likely to happen. It makes
It was like
perfect
it's basically written in steel.
It is interesting that the so far so it's Cassandra Nova will be the first mutant villain not put in her own box, right? Because it's Magneto in his own box, I guess
I mean, define mutant villain.
I guess all of the Brotherhood are
Because
technically
Mystique and Beast came together, and Wolverine and Sabretooth came together. So the villains were alone, and then Magneto, Toad came together.
Oh, that's right. Magneto and
Magneto wasn't
Toad
alone.
were in the same bin. I always forget Toad was in that box.
Yeah, because he's the smallest object in that box of 4 things.
Yeah.
Sometimes when
it's like
sometimes
Magneto,
sometimes when you get
Magneto
him,
part, and then some Toad.
you don't get all of Toad. Sometimes when you get him, you don't get all
He
of Toad. You
He
just
looks
get some.
extra small when he's missing half the sprue.
Yeah. Some people get only half
Hey,
of
Jeremy.
Toad.
Yeah, you got him eventually. It only took what? When did you get that?
I don't know about the
You got that,
second
like,
time. About the second time
May?
that you got hold of your second Magneto.
It only took 6 months.
Jesus.
It was November to May. Took you to get that replacement.
I've yet to
part.
put him in a list, or make him actually on the table. He's good.
All right, well, that's the end of the news. We better move on before we run too long.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bringing up an oldie topic that everyone loves from the forums. We're gonna cover some fun topics on the forums. There's actually a lot of good ones today. We've lost Jeremy. Jeremy's dead.
Seriously.
I actually wanted him to hear these.
He thought now was a good
All
time
right,
to duck out.
We'll do the easy one first. There is a typo in Mr. Sinister's card. Parker, were you aware of this?
Oh, I want to say the tactics card or the main card?
No, his character card.
No, I thought it was. No.
Yeah, I can't believe nobody noticed it, but it's a pretty minor typo. So the typo is on Mr. Sinister's card on his strike. The wording says for each hit symbol on the die, he deals gain 1 power. When it's supposed to say the damage symbol, which is like the 3 claw marks. And so they typoed, instead of the damage symbol, they did the hit symbol. And so it's for each hit he deals to an opponent, he gains 1 power, which would be way worse.
Yeah.
Because you would also I'm going to block the hits first, so you don't gain power. Yeah, so it was obviously typo.
That is
so that's
weird.
Not how that works. I don't think I've ever even heard somebody question it, because nobody's noticed. Some random person just happened to notice.
Huh.
All right, so next up, okay, so this one's a little complicated with the timing. So the question is, in this example, Thor uses his hammer throw on an enemy Hawkeye, and Hawkeye is within range 3 of Thor, so he cannot use Quick Draw. However, the enemy player elects to use Lifesaver on their Ghost Spider, dragging him out of range 3 of Thor. Can he then elect to activate Quick Draw and shoot Thor? The answer is yes. So it's just a little timing thing.
So basically, he can quick draw if somebody gets moved into his quick draw range, even if they didn't start the whole attack chain.
Well, his Quick Draw is not within a certain range. It's a donut.
Oh, that's right.
It has a minimum range of 3, I think. Yeah. So moving on to the next one. This is a pretty basic one if you understand how the timing works, but just so heads up for people. Jeremy, if Medusa attacks Quicksilver with her Braid Bash and triggers Flurry, and then on the Flurry attack, can Quicksilver trigger Can't Catch Me and move away from the attack?
Wouldn't Medusa's go off first?
So that's the normal logic, but actually, Can't Catch Me triggers before the attack, and so he would actually get to move out of the attack range.
Okay.
So all of the runaway abilities work that way. So it's careful to know about that one. Aggressive is like the only movement ability that goes after the attack.
Gotcha.
Good to know. This is just a clarification. I know we've talked about this before, and this is always the way we've ruled it, but we've never actually posted it on the forum. So clarification on the definition of modifying dice, because multiple times in the game, the words reroll and modify have been used what appears to be basically interchangeably, and they're obviously not. What is modification and what are rerolls, and what is the difference between them? So rerolls are modifications, and modifying is any time you can reroll or change a die result is a modification. Sound good?
Yeah, so
Makes
modification is just a form of rerolling.
Reverse. So rerolls are a form of modification, yes.
Sorry, yes.
They are a subcategory of modification.
Yes.
I knew you knew what I meant. I was just making sure everybody else did.
That works the same in X-Wing. It's the same rule.
Parker, I got a pop quiz for you. You ready?
Mm?
Venom is targeted by an attack. Can you play Lethal Protector? Don't
Give me a
look it
second.
up. Just give me an answer. No, don't look it up. Give me an answer.
I just want to read Lethal Protector. I don't know what it says.
No, just give me an answer. That's not how quizzes work. It's not.
Oh.
Let me check it out.
Let me get the book.
You're a teacher. You should know this.
It's a pop quiz. I don't give pop quizzes. They don't tell me anything.
All right. New plan. Parker, you're out. You've already failed. Jeremy,
Okay.
give me an answer.
No, you cannot do that.
Incorrect. You, in fact, can
Damn
play
it!
Lethal Protector. See? That's how this is supposed to work, Parker. Now you have an example. Learn from
Shit.
it. All right, so
How does he do that?
it says allied character, not other allied
Oh,
character.
that's him.
He is an ally with himself. And the only reason to do this, which he brings up in his question, is you do in fact get to place within range one of yourself, which is pretty cool. You actually get to move, which is super awesome.
That's funny.
Nobody would ever expect this to happen.
Which is pretty big. He's on a medium base. I mean, he can leap out of there. He can actually get away from shit. That's interesting.
Just clarification, can I borrow that? Indeed can be used to steal your opponent's Wakandan herb that you normally are not allowed to interact with. All other interactions with that have been ruled the same way, like with Enchantress.
He just leaves. He takes the Wakandan herb way away.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's the end of that.
Yeah, it's like, so turn one, you run in, you punch them, and you get 3 damage through, right? And your opponent just goes, oh no. You're like, now I will play, can I borrow that? I take it, immediately pay 2 for speed to remove long, and you're like, motherfucker. Like, I will never see that again.
Yep, it's gone. It's
Yeah,
over.
goodbye. Goodbye, token. So Vision, this is just another obvious clarification for anyone who's looked into this at all. Vision receives 3 additional dice when defending against physical attacks. Does that mean he rolls 5 dice when dodging? Nope. Sorry,
Nope.
Vision. Goodbye. Everyone who's tried this knows the answer. Interesting thing here. This is actually really fucked up. What happens when you play Ash to Cinder when someone is using the Magneto leadership? Ash to Cinder destroys the terrain. Pop quiz, Jeremy. Does Magneto get to hand out power?
Correct.
False.
Damn it!
0 for 2 today.
Damn it!
It's when
Because
his
Magneto
effect, right?
specifically, Magneto
Oh.
says specifically, when a piece of terrain is destroyed, you may give out 1 power to an allied character equal to the amount of size of the terrain. And so if it's size 3 piece terrain, you get to hand out 1 power to 3 of your allied characters. Each character can only have 1 power gained per turn. And so it's the per turn part, because
not a
the Ash
turn.
to Cinder destroys the terrain in the cleanup phase, which has no turns. It's a
Mm.
really messed up thing, and
Son of a
everyone
bitch.
thinks, everyone would assume intuitively that's how it works, but it's not how it works. So that's actually an important one. That was a good catch. Good catch, random guy. I should probably give shout outs, but I already closed the window. All right, so that's from the forums.
Great.
Well, there's only like 4 people ask intelligent questions on the forum, so you know who you are. If you don't get a response of no lock thread, then you've probably asked a bad question. All right, so that moves us into our main topic today. We're going to finish up the tactics cards. Speaking of finish up the tactics cards, let me get to the correct space. Here we go. All right, so no matter how long this takes, we're going to finish these up today.
We're finishing them.
Let's do it.
Which, unfortunately, looking at our current time, might be a bit.
Okay. Okay.
You know
Let's
what?
do this
I
then.
don't make this podcast for John. I'm going to tell you right now.
That's true.
I do not. I know you do because you're always
the
concerned
tournament.
about time. I do not.
I like to keep us to a tight 2:15. But everyone who's ever listened to episode 3 knows that.
Yeah.
4 hours, 30 minutes.
Jesus.
No, but I brought up the fact that it's if he just pauses it and says the word intermission out loud, it's 2 episodes, and he did not like that response.
Oh no.
Intermission.
Intermission.
Oh God.
Especially if you get up and go get a drink.
Mhm.
Now, the best thing about audio medium is you could still keep listening to it, but
I think halfway through you need to put on the let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
did you go see the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie? Because I know you watched the show.
I sure did. Yes, I did.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it in theaters?
Yes, I did.
Did you love the opening scroll with the fucking candy and shit?
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
absolutely. Yep.
I wish so badly I'd gone to theaters to see that.
I
Because
did.
there's the people that just saw it was a cartoon movie and they brought their kids in.
Oh no.
And it's just like, and it's like, I will stab you, give you a disease. It's like, oh my God. The name of the song is Linoleum Knife by shit. What's the name? Is it Mastodon? I think it's Mastodon.
It's
did the
probably
song.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would look it up on YouTube, but I still to this day don't know how to spell linoleum, so not gonna bother. Which is the best reason to not look it up.
Perfect.
Oh, that's awesome! You're not
Do you
gonna
know how
Google
many?
your guess.
Do you know how many clickety clacks there would be before I found linoleum knife on YouTube? There'd be a few.
Oh my
All
god.
right, so we're just gonna move on now.
Okay.
But it is amazing. It starts off with like the raisins and the raisinets and was it sodas dancing, and it quickly turns into like a gang war. It's pretty
It's
awesome.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it sets the tone for the movie. All right. So we have our first card, Parker. You ready?
Yep. 1-2 punch. It's an unaffiliated card, reactive. When the active character targets an enemy character with an attack, and the target character is within 2 of another allied character, those allied characters may spend 1 each to play this card. Add 2 dice to the attack roll.
There's plenty of cards just like this that live in the land of I'm going to play an E deployment. And if you play those E deployments and you fill your roster with these type of cards, you're probably going to get to use them. Aside from that, don't know.
Well, I actually think this is the gold standard of a whole category of cards that people need to be aware of. And that is cards not to put in your roster. But yeah, this is not a good card. If you want to play cards that add dice, there's many good options that we can show you, none of which involve 1-2 punch. The big trick, obviously, you don't want to lock yourself into too many cards that require proximity or positioning with multiple characters, unless the payoff is definitely worth it. And in this exact situation, there is Battle Lust is a better option, and Unearthly Rager is a better option. Both of which don't require you to have positioning pre-built in. And so that's the main reason. I mean, when the time this was printed, I believe it was the only card that added dice to your attacks.
That's possible. I think what's important to understand here is you need to have Captain America in your list, Winter Soldier in your list, and you're playing against Ultron. I think those 3 things need to happen as well,
Yeah.
based on the art of the card.
All right. Yeah. So this is not a good card. This is in fact an example of a bad card, I would actually say. So let's just go ahead and get into numbers. I give this a 3. It's not completely unplayable garbage. If you need to add 2 dice, there's not a lot of options, and there's worse ways to go. But this is not a good thing to do.
I was going to say 3. Parker.
Parker, this is where you go.
I'm sorry, I missed when you said your number, Brandon. I must have.
He's
it
on
must have blanked out.
probation.
3.
Oh.
I did 3, and then Jeremy agreed. 3 as well.
I was actually going to say a 2, and the main reason why is there's lots of characters that have, spend some power, get an extra dice on their card, and it's just such a low value. It's a very low value in this game to get an extra dice for a power, I think. So I was actually going to say it's 2, just because even when this works, it's still not a great value.
Yeah, I mean, power-wise, it's more efficient than a lot of those attacks. A lot of the time, it's like spend 3 to add 2 dice on an ability. But also, it stacks with those abilities. And sometimes there's attacks like, if you're going to do Cruel Twist and you say, I'm paying 2 for 1-2 punch, I'm not going to say that's a bad investment depending on what you're attacking, right? Like, I can understand the value being gained there. So it's not terrible. And like, if you 1-2 punch with Magneto, who can guarantee the positioning for himself by moving you into the right spot and then rolling an 8 dice attack with rerolls, that has value. And so I think it's better than a 2. But if you're going to do those, I would probably not use specifically this card.
Right.
But sometimes, like Battle Lust requires you to move, and Magneto doesn't like moving. And then Unearthly Rage requires multiple enemies. This one you can actually guarantee happens. You can put your models in position and make sure this happens. It's just not usually worth it.
I still say it's 2. We can give it a 3.
All right. 3 it is. Parker's wrong. Moving on. Next card.
Patch Up! Unaffiliated active card. Choose a non-dazed allied character. Another allied character within 2 of the chosen character may spend up to 5 power to play this card. Remove damage from the chosen character equal to the power spent to play this card.
This card definitely patches you in a deliberately upward direction.
I was gonna say, isn't this just MedPack 1.0? Is what this is basically?
It is. This was the original heal card.
Yeah.
This was in everyone's list until a restriction list came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it kind of fell off once Hulk wasn't the way to play the game, which didn't take that long, I guess. But it was definitely popular.
So this card lands in that, if we look at Magic, the Gathering or whatever, like this one reminds me of the Power 7 cards. It lands in those kind of category of you're playing some of them if you own them, and this is one of those that you're either playing one or the other. It depends which list you're playing. If you've got a character that has more than 6 health and can generate some power in your list, like you'll probably play this one. You'll get more bang for your buck. And if you're not, the other one is easier to play and is cheaper, so you'll play the other one. But there's only 2 heal cards in the game, folks. Like, there's 2. And they're that powerful. Where that lands in point cost, what that's worth or whatever is, it's worth a lot. It's very strong.
I would say, good.
I was gonna say the one nice thing is it does have some sort of synergy with a card like Field Dressing, is because but you have to have a huge amount of power to make like the total use of it. But you could, if you had 9 power on a character and you move within 2 of something that was KO'd, just like nope, just like a nearly full revive or perhaps a full revive on somebody. That's not nothing. I think it has definite potential. The one thing I don't like about it is range 2, and so it does require, like you kind of said before, like the E deployments, sacrificing maybe a move action and 5 power to give somebody 5 health. You're going to really want that health to be super premium, something that was super important to have, but maybe it is.
I was going to say that initially when it came out, MODOK and Hulk were pretty much in every list because we were basically just looking for anything to do that wasn't the core set versus the core set. So there was a lot more characters that had big health pools available, and then immediately after that, Thor comes out, and so we had 3 really alpha characters that all had a bunch of hit points, and because we were always playing the core missions, which was like Struggle for the Cube and Riots, or not Riots, Infinity Formula, so everyone had a ton of power all the time, and so this card was a lot more valuable. I think for a lot of the game after that happened, a lot of the meta, Patch Up became less important and MedPack became a lot better because the extended range and the better power ratio for the healing was so much better. But now that we're seeing a lot more of these like super characters pop back up, we're seeing people run lists that have lots of power and lots of health. I'm wondering if maybe Patch Up won't start seeing a resurgence.
Nothing is worse than seeing Thanos get patched up for 5. Like, just quit the game. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just done. What do you put it at, Brandon?
6. I think 6 fair. We put MedPack at a 9. It's definitely worse than MedPack just because MedPack's so versatile. But in the right situation, it's better than MedPack.
I put it at a solid 7 because of that. I would even lean towards an 8 because it's one of 2 heal cards in the game. I'm going to guess that they'll never make another heal card. Like, not like these.
I would guarantee we'll see another heal card probably in the next 6 months, I would say. No, because it's going to be immediately restricted. You're going to have to pick between them. It's not like you're going to
don't say that.
Take all of them.
I know. Yeah, it's very possible that they'll immediately.
I mean, they've just shown that that's how they're going to balance these cards. Where the whole problem is when you take too many of them, they become an issue. They'll just not let you take too many of them. It's fine. Yeah, I think we'll see one where it's like heal 2 on 2 people for 4 or 3 or something, maybe.
That'd be interesting, sure.
Or maybe something like a second win for everybody, where it's like everyone can spend 1 to heal 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's not super concentrated.
I think you're more likely to see it on a certain character. Like, I'm surprised that Iron Fist doesn't have one, like that kind of thing. Force you to take a character and a tactic slot to get a heal.
Craven can.
Oh, I mean,
Craven
we
can
have
do it.
character-specific ones. Yeah, Craven does that.
He heals himself back to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's right. No, he doesn't. He
he
transfers all
heals
damage.
himself.
He transfers all damage tokens onto the Spider-Man he just became.
You
Yeah,
can't
and
kill.
Spider-Man.
You can't damage Craven. Are you crazy?
I was gonna ask if Spider-Man has more hit points than Craven. I remembered he's 5'5". I was like, never mind. But he comes to he always goes to the healthy side of Spider-Man though.
That's true. He could, yeah, if he was.
Yeah,
It's like a healing.
which
card.
is currently the only character that can turn another character's health card to the front side.
Mm.
He doesn't even turn his own card. He just makes a new card that is healthy.
Ghost Rider is so much better.
Yeah.
Where do you put him?
Yeah, I guess Ghost Rider and what?
No, I was asking Parker the point. What do you think?
I think I'm agreeing with you though. I'm going to come up to a 7.
I was actually
Full
going to
Parker.
say spot on 7 before. I feel
Yeah.
like it's a spot on 7.
Yeah, because the only time you're going to play this is when it's awesome. You're not going to play it in just random games. I
Yes.
think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
In random games, it's a 5.
it is. When I started playing the game, I didn't know how to use this, and I just set in my it sat in my slot all game long. I was like, I never got to use it.
So real quick before we move on too much, I want to get back to the Craven Tactus card discussion. real
Oh
quick.
Jesus Christ!
This is
But for real,
Please
no,
do.
Oh God, no! You're
and
memeing.
there's a very specific reason I'm bringing it up right now. Until this card was spoiled, this next card was the most specific card we had that cared about your enemy, I believe. So Parker, go ahead.
Okay. Psychic Shielding Device, the PSD. Unaffiliated active card. Any character may spend 1 to 5 power to play this card. This round, while within range X of this character, X equal to the power spent, when allied characters are targeted by mystic attacks, add 1 die to their defense rolls, and allied characters cannot be advanced or pushed by the effects of enemy mystic attacks or enemy superpowers.
My favorite part is, can anyone name a mystic attack that pushes people?
Pushes them?
Yeah.
It's Magneto. No, it's not Magneto. There isn't
Well,
one.
yeah, they're not
Trick
physical
question.
attacks.
There isn't one.
Ebony Maw.
Oh no!
Well, sorry, I think Ebony Maw specifically advances them, but it is covered by this card. Ebony Maw says, he throws an influence. Okay, yeah. Sinister Influence. After this attack resolved, if you rolled a wild, you may advance target character short. Woo! Yeah, complete garbage. So interesting thing. Do you know what other Tactus card came in this box?
Nope.
Field dressing. This was balanced with field dressing. I actually think this card is not worthless. The longer it goes on, we're seeing a lot of characters with the ability to move to advance enemy models. And this combined with the Stalwart Termination in A-Force would actually allow you to not have your models moved if you played both of them, which would be cute.
It's not a horrible thing to not let your models move. As soon as you... actually, I'll ask you this. When Thanos sees this card, does he feel like a real asshole? Because now he'll actually have to come to you to do damage, and that might take him too many actions and things.
Wait, what? No,
He's
he
not
doesn't.
Mystic at all. He doesn't give a fuck about this card.
This doesn't
Oh.
do anything to him.
Well,
I guess
'cause
it
it's not-
stops the Mind Stone. It stops the Mind Stone. It doesn't stop his throw, and it doesn't stop his place. Never mind, you can still place enemies. Never mind.
Yeah, you can still place.
2 Tactus cards still doesn't stop it.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just stops the Mind Stone is all it stops. Yeah.
Yeah, it stops the Mind Stone and Ebony Maw's basic attack wild effect. That's the 2 things in the game it stops.
No, it also there's
So it stops Mind Stones.
and it also yes, Mysterio does the same thing. He advances on his basic.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
So eventually there will be another model that we have to worry about. Okay, yeah, this card is just not good. You want this is the Grievous Wounds of defense cards. That's what this card is. You're
I
like,
feel
it
like-
should do all this stuff. It does none of them. Sorry.
This card would have been fine if it said add 2 dice. Honestly,
What if it said, like, you gain cover against mystic attacks?
that would be fine. I'd take that.
Mhm.
Yeah, one
But
defense
one die
die
doesn't do
is
anything.
not a noticeable improvement. Like, people talk about Incinerate being annoying. It's like, just ignore it. Literally imagine that it doesn't exist and your game will not change. Like, you're losing 1 defense die. Unless you're fucking Black Panther, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I give this a 3. It actually has some benefit shutting down the mind control ability is relevant, and it's going to keep getting more relevant because it's like ribbons, right? They just print this on every card nowadays. That's what we've got. MODOK, 1, 2, 3 characters that can take the Mind Stone. I can count in my head right now. 4 if you're and then 4 for Enchantress. So that's 5 characters. Then Sinister, and I assume Cassandra Nova and Jean are going to have it. So there's 8 characters that I can think of that are either going to have mind control or a similar effect. So yeah, this is going to become more and more important. And you know what? If you just played Psionic Shielding Device so Enchantress couldn't take you off a point, is that worth a Tactics card? It's certainly better than Brace.
If that's what it breaks down to, perhaps.
Yeah, if you're just on a side point as criminals and you're like, fuck you, Psionic Shielding Device for 1 power, Enchantress cannot get Kingpin off the point, what do you do? It's a totally different game.
I was going to say a 3, but for those reasons alone, that probably brings it to a 4. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 as well. I actually, now that I say that out loud, I think I might go 5. That's better than majority of cards in the game. I'm going to say 5.
Parker, break the tie.
I actually was going to say 5 from the very beginning because I fucking hate when my bottles get moved.
There you go.
hate
So
it.
5.
Don't touch my shit! 5 it is. Jeremy was wrong this time. All right, Parker, go ahead and talk about the most underused card in the game.
The most underused card? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Recalibration Matrix. Unaffiliated, reactive card. When an allied character is attacking or defending, before they calculate success or failure step at the end of the modified dice step of the attack, it may spend 3 power to play this card. The attacking and defending characters reroll all of their attack and defense dice.
I have strong opinions about this, but go ahead, Brandon.
Very good card. It originally was just reroll minus skulls, which is quickly becoming more and more convoluted with all the new abilities to modify dice we're running into nowadays. You can't force people to reroll skulls unless they can already reroll skulls. So the Web Warrior affiliation comes into play. Also, you can't mess with Scarlet Witch's like fucking skulls, which is really annoying because if she rolls like 4 skulls on her basic, Recal just does nothing on her offense side. It just gives her more chances to do damage, which is really frustrating. Which is another reason to play Recal if you're playing Scarlet Witch. Yeah, it's a great card. I wish we had more things like this in the game. Instead of adding 2 attack dice to an ability, 1-2 punch should be reroll your attack dice. Like that should just be what it is. Like people don't want to add 2 dice; they want to reroll their existing dice. It's way more efficient.
So there's 2 ways to play this card. So this game snowballs really quickly, and I mean, for those that don't know, there's several characters, and there's actually a lot that if they get their builder, if you hit it on the first roll and you gain yourself like 2, 3, 4 power, like blam, you have it. And suddenly you're throwing models, you're re-rolling dice, and you're exploding. Like, you're suddenly, like, creating a toppling tower of, like... That's how you win games in this, is about spikes.
Yeah.
So...
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There have been games I have played MODOK and Cabal, and his opening attack dealt 5 damage, and I just said, this game's over, in my head.
Yep.
Like, the instant my opponent said, I take 5, it's like, all right, the game's over. Like, you will never come back from this. And like that is a perfect example of like times you need to have more control over the results of an attack.
Yeah, I mean there's almost an unlimited number of models at this point that getting 2, 3, 4 power on them, all of a sudden you lose the game. And this card alone, as long as you've saved the power and you're ready for it, you can cause a spike roll to do nothing, or at least roll average. You know, like all of a sudden that 6 dice or the 6 damage you took turns into nothing because you make them re-roll it. That's usually how I use it. I use it in that fashion instead of like a big roll I'm going to make and do bad. However, if you finally saved up enough power and suddenly your model is getting ready to do its big attack for 12 dice, how many times have we encountered that where we're like, boom, oh, I've rolled 2 damage on this big attack.
Yeah.
Shit. You get to use this card and fix it. Absolutely,
Hulk smash for 14.
Yeah.
0 hits.
And it happens. So this card really does all of that. It's a great card. I try and fit it in probably 2 out of 3 lists. I would say it goes on my list.
I definitely tend to lean towards using it on defense more often as well.
Just to knock that out. Yeah.
The difference between, and admittedly, there's for my exact example, it's hard for a lot of characters to have 3 power on turn 1 to play Recal. But if it's going to be the difference of shutting MODOK down and MODOK gets a big head start in the game, because you have to remember, it's like Jeremy was saying, it's not just 5 power. That 5 power is then, on some characters, going to be compounded into them becoming even more efficient and deadly throughout the game. Like, MODOK walks up and does 5 damage. Okay, well, now he has power to reroll and move all your models and throw stuff and still have power in reserve. Because once MODOK gets power, MODOK generates even more power. And so that's the problem. It's just every attack he's rerolling 3 dice. And it's just like, well, now he basically has 9 dice attacks for the rest of the game, and you just can't survive it. And so if you can shut down that first one, it gets a lot easier. And also, with where we are in the game right now, sorry, real quick.
Go ahead.
But like people like Magneto, who have really efficient dice, because they generate their own rerolls or own dice modification, making them reroll after they've done all those completely deletes their modification benefits. Because we're just starting from scratch. In fact, it's even better because the more times they roll those dice, the more likely they're going to get to a skull, which deletes them from the roll. Like, if Magneto does his initial 6 dice attack, and he gets 1 skull, rerolls 3 dice, gets another skull, and you play Recal, well, he's only rolling 4 blank attack dice now. You're getting rid of all of that efficiency he has. Sorry,
so what I was going to say is, basically, it's one of the few cards that has it doesn't care what faction you're playing or which model you're playing. The other cards that do this sort of thing, you have to be playing Brotherhood to play Book. You have to be playing, other things or specific models to get this kind of thing. Where this feels good because you always have it kind of in your pocket. Like, whatever bad thing that happens where someone explodes on you, you have this. So it feels good throughout the entire game, usually, to have this card, too. It's never a dead card. Unless you waste all your power, then that's your problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's some lists that just can't afford to play it, and you need to know that going in. Like, Web Warriors is probably not the place to play it because they already have so many dice mods that you're kind of getting diminishing returns, because if you're playing Recal, you're in that situation, you're getting your own dice efficiency. And so it's not bad to have as an in case, especially on like a Venom attack, where if Venom's going to roll 12 dice in a We Are Venom, you're like, yeah, you might want to have Recal available, but he probably doesn't have the power available because he's so power hungry already. And so, yeah, there's definitely some spots that's probably not worth it.
Web Warriors never have extra power anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, they just don't have the power.
One of the things about this card that I always felt is every time I saw Jeremy, every time you've played it against me, I've gone like, okay, Recal, and I've always gone like, okay, super dangerous card. Ooh, that's a super dangerous card. Oh, that's a super dangerous card. Okay, Recal, who gives a shit? And then I'll play the whole game, and then at one time where I like knock his jaw off, like, yes, here, a turning point right now. The game will turn on this, and Jeremy's like, nope, do it again. And I'm like, okay, well now the game has to turn again on the point again. And twice it's been played on me, and it didn't. Like, it totally nullified that turning point. The game kept going on its track. One time it happened, and I just did it again. I just rolled it again. And so, like, that also happens, too. Like, you can play Recal and for 3 power get no effect. But the fact that you can... we talk about, like, cards that can change the whole game. I think Field Dressing can win and lose games. I think Recal can actually win and lose games. Because there are moments in the game where you need that 9-die attack to land, or your opponent needed that 9-die attack to land, and you just denied them, and then they just lost all their investment in their actions and their turn and their power to do whatever cool thing they were doing to you, and it didn't work now. Man, super strong.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously Field Dressing is amazingly impactful for the reason you said, but the only downside of Recal is it gives you the opportunity for fortune to change. It doesn't guarantee it, as where Field Dressing is just bullshit. My favorite moment for Recal, I was playing Thanos for one of the first games I played Thanos. It was full 9-point Thanos, and Venom came into me. I punched Venom. Venom then did so many snacks, hit me back with We Are Venom for 7, after damage reduction hit me for 7, Recal took 0. And then patched up, got him back to 8 hit points, and then Jason put his stuff on eBay like he always does. The trick is buy it and give it back to him.
Where's it put it,
Yeah.
Brandon? What do you rate?
Oh, this is easily a 7. I can't believe... I mean, I know why, because you always want to play the character-specific cards, but honestly, every list is better with Recal in it, I think. Every roster is better with Recal available.
You say 7. I was thinking 7, but I use it so often. I'm going to put it as an 8 because it doesn't require anything. Just do it. Like, if you've never played it or it's not a common, like, I wish I could use that. Just try it. Do the things we just said. Like, it's legit.
If your first 4 cards you add to a list are Field Dressing, Med Pack, Recal, and Climbing Gear, you're probably fine. Because
True.
even if your other 4 cards are complete trash, you'll be okay.
I agree.
Your next 4 cards are just fucking Fearful Symmetry, and you're fine. All 4 of them Fearful Symmetry. It's like, well, hopefully all 4 of my Corvuses, or what's his name?
Craven.
I can't remember his fucking Craven. All 4 of my Cravens will turn into Peter Parkers. You're like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Why don't you just play 4 Peter Parkers? All right. So Parker, what's your number?
I actually say an 8 because of its ubiquity. It's. too
I
useful
was
everywhere.
wrong this time. It's an 8. All right. Next up. Oh, this is a bad one.
Yep, this is gonna be super good. We're gonna love this. It's called Reversal. Unaffiliated reactive card. After an attack that targeted an allied character is resolved, another allied character within range 3 of the attacking character may spend 2 power to play this. Roll 4 dice. Deal 1 damage to the attacker for each crit and wild rolled. I hate these cards. I hate
counterattacking as a tactics card.
I hate counterattacking in general. I hate counterattacking in this game. It feels so good every time I'm like, I'm going to spend 2 power, or I'm usually in Avengers. I'm going to spend 1 power to counterattack. Wah. Okay, well.
Now that nothing has happened.
Or I'm going to spend 1 power to counterattack. Do 2 damage, and now you have enough for your big attack for your second action.
Yeah.
Fuck!
You never counterattack the first one.
Yeah.
You always counterattack the second one.
Right.
Yep. No, that's happened a bunch of times I've seen in games. I'm like, what are you doing? Remember last week when we rated a card that just said counterattack with more words?
Yeah.
It just sounds like counterattack with extra steps.
Yep.
This card is bad. I'm going to give it a 2. It's better than No Escape because you can actually guarantee this will happen at some point. Yeah, because they attack an ally. That's easy. It's easy to trigger, unlike the other one. Unfortunately, counterattacking as a tactics card slot is real bad.
I imagine a world
Yep.
where this card got made and it's just free. Would you use it? I don't know that I would.
It's not. We've established on this podcast multiple times, we need twice the tactics card slots we currently have,
I know.
and it still wouldn't get played if it was free. So in this
Oh.
magical La La Land, it'd be like 30 on the list.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to give it like a 2 or a 1. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's bad.
I don't think it's 1 bad, because it actually does its job. Its job is just to be shitty.
So 2. Officially
Parker.
a 2. Parker, what do you got?
Parker,
I say a 2 also. It's not the worst
2
card.
as well.
It's just
We were all right.
I can't stand counterattack. Fucking hate counterattack.
Ooh, I just figured out the name for this episode. The gang was all right.
Yeah, I like it. Next
That
one.
sounded like a legitimate. I like it.
Next card. I love this card as a concept. I also love that in order to say the title of the card, you must pronounce the punctuation on the end of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Rocket Boots is the next card because it actually has a
I
question
was
mark
gonna
followed.
yell at you if you didn't pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
Rocket Boots.
Rocket Boots. Unaffiliated active card. An allied character may play this card. The character gains flight and 8 power. At the end of the round, roll 1 die. If the result is a blank, the character gains stun. If the result is a skull, the character gains stagger and stun. And on any other result, the character then advances short again.
I honestly did not know that skull result was on this card, and I was going to give it a bad rating.
Yeah.
This card is so bad.
Yeah.
You know why this card's bad, Jeremy?
Why is that?
Because they banned the second half of it.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, this card was only useful with drop off, and just to make bullshit happen with drop off. My Hulk needs to drop off my Black Dwarf. Like, shut up! Like, stop doing dumb shit!
Yeah, this card has not
Man.
aged well at all.
You know what would be awesome if we played a tournament with no banned list or no restricted list? I can't even say it out loud. Angela drops off She-Hulk, who special delivers Hulk. No, sorry. Angela special delivers She-Hulk, who drops off Hulk. And you're like, wait, hold on. Like, no! All this bullshit happens. Oh, man. All right. So, yeah, this card's bad. Does anybody have anything to say about it other than it's bad?
I love the art and the concept of the card, but
Oh, this costs 0 power.
It does
I guess
cost
it's
0.
not as bad as I thought.
It does cost 0 power to give something flight. If this is one of those cards that it actually, like, when the game happens, where you're like, oh man, if only I could wall crawl
Have
/
flight.
fly, then I would be able to win the game. If that's what happens, I guess
You've
that's when it's good,
played the
because
game
you don't
poorly, yeah.
because you don't care what happens after, right? You don't care if he's stunned or staggered.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just need this character to be here to the point, and there's a building in my way. So
But
I
we
guess,
have
but
multiple good options for characters with mobility.
right.
Why would you like? You don't want to take Quicksilver. You don't want to take Spider-Man. You don't want to take any of the 90 models that fucking fly. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why? I just don't get it.
Yep.
It's just maybe if you're just trying to like play a fluffy list and you need access to this, but climbing gear is just a better option. Admittedly, it costs 3 power, which is not a small amount of power. So if you've played your list a lot and you run yourself into the only problem I have is mobility and power, then I guess Rocket Boots is probably okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
You've
I
done all kinds of other bad things at that point.
yeah, I can't. I'm going to put a hard ceiling on a 3 on this one, and I think I'm going to say a 2. I cannot accept anything above a 3.
I feel like there needs to be a tournament where this has to be one of your tactics cards.
Okay, so you mean a tournament where you have 4 tactic slots?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds
It's a
good.
2. It's garbage at this point. Until they make
Yeah,
another
it's just
card that
not good.
matches with it, it's
Yeah.
junk. Because this was obviously made for a certain thing, and it just doesn't exist anymore, so it's dead.
Yeah. Well, I guess Drop Off could eventually get unbanned.
Yeah.
It's a wombo combo card that has no longer has a combo, so it's just a wombo.
No more Wombo.
Yeah.
Just combo.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
2.
a 2. It's a 2.
2 it is. Moving on.
Sacrifice.
A card that's actually good.
Yeah. Reactive card. It's called Sacrifice. If an allied character is within range 2 of another allied character and is targeted by an attack, those allied characters may spend 1 each. The non-targeted allied character immediately becomes the new target of the attack, regardless of range and line of sight. It cannot add additional defense dice to its defense roll and cannot modify its dice during this attack.
It lets you bodyguard for 1 power each.
Mm-hmm.
You split the cost of the bodyguard, but you get to bodyguard once.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't have enough tactic slots to make this card actually viable, but I've actually played it, and it was actually pretty good in the game I played it. It was basically just, I have Doctor Strange, watch him kill your whole list. And I had, what was the card that's Lifesaver? Is it Escort to Safety? I had Escort to Safety, and this, and Field Dressing, and Patch Up, and Med Pack, I think, because it was before the restricted list. And it was just like, Doctor Strange will not die. And it was correct, he did not die. I still lost, but I did not die.
I always like this one with Venom. Just waiting,
Mm-hmm.
like, please attack me, please attack me, please attack me. And you're like, I'm not going to attack Venom. You're like, now you attack Venom.
You can... Oh my god, you can sacrifice yourself. Which sounds way worse than what actually happens. It doesn't say other, it's just allied character within 2. You are within 2 of yourself and allied.
Yep.
I attack Venom. I sacrifice to Venom. You're like, what? We are Venom. Like, I don't understand what's happening.
We are both Venom, and we are sacrificing.
Oh, it would be even better if you want to just get a judge called and be the worst sport ever. You could have Spider-Man and say, I'm sacrificing to Spider-Man, and then not put the damage on the Spider-Man they think. It's like, I just said I was sacrificing to Spider-Man. You're like,
Yeah.
but you, like... His name is Spider-Man.
So
Right?
what's the value? I guess what's the value of having a one-time, bodyguard? That's what it's about.
In the right list, it's good, but nowadays there isn't as much of a need to bodyguard people because I think people have realized how to get to certain models. Like if you've got like a a very important model that your opponent needs to get to. We've gotten to the point in the game where they have the tools to get them, so one bodyguard probably isn't saving them. And so I don't know, it's probably a 4, but I like it as a card. Maybe a 5. I don't know. It will never get played in a list, probably, outside of very rare situations. But I think if the majority of the cards in the game were this powerful, that would be good. This is about where I want my cards to be balanced.
I think you're right. It does something. It changes the game if you do it right. And it's a one kind of like a specific gotcha. I like it at a 5.
And even if it's only like Magneto sacrifices for like a MODOK attack against Wolverine, like some like you're just getting rid of that one problematic thing that's going to ruin your day. Like there are times that's good. Or you can sacrifice to a model with like, oh, I don't want so and so to get staggered, so I'm going to take the hit on this guy that doesn't matter. Like, yeah, there's times it's useful, but it competing for your 5 slots probably not going to happen.
This card. This also can go on models that are just kind of like health pools that don't do anything in the game, like Wong. If you think Wong can survive a single attack, just let Wong sacrifice just to like use his health pool for something.
Do you really care if he doesn't?
What?
Do you really care if he doesn't survive the attack?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
there's a couple like shenanigans things. If you've got Ronin in there, like you might have it in your list because you want someone else to do it. That way, Ronin can judge them. Or there's a couple janky things, but it's very specific.
Right.
I think I'm happy with a 4. Jeremy?
I said a 5. I'm fine with a 5.
Okay. Parker?
I think it's a 4.
4 it is. Seeing Red.
Seeing Red.
Sorry, next card, I mean.
Yep. Seeing Red, the next card.
Wait, hold on. Time out. Everyone be quiet. Being quiet. Intermission. And welcome back to Infamous, the audio podcast. Parker, what's next? What's the next card?
The next card is Seeing Red. It's an unaffiliated reactive card. When an allied character is dazed or KO'd by an enemy effect, another allied character within range 2 of that character may spend 3 power to play this card. After the enemy effect is resolved, this character may make an attack against the enemy character that caused it.
So, how is this card in the game? And let me double check. Yep, came out in with like the first wave, and then they printed Reversal and thought that was a card that should exist in the game. Because there's no like Kraven theme to this, right? If they had stapled Kraven's picture on it, I'd be like, okay, this card needs to exist, but it doesn't. It doesn't have that Kraven picture, so it doesn't matter. It shouldn't exist. All right. This card's fine. I don't know. Probably not going to play it, but it's a card that generates an attack that doesn't cost an action. Quick, name the cards that do that aren't banned.
I think it has a premium if you got a character that likes to bump jump and has a really nice free attack. Like if you were in a brawl with 2 characters and one of them was She-Hulk and she was dead first, like this would be really cool. Like you got She-Hulk just smash somebody, hit somebody again in the face.
This card is way better than that. This doesn't. You don't have to do a 0 cost attack. You just do an attack.
Right, but I'm saying the character has to spend 3 power and then do an attack. I'm just saying.
Sure, but I'll give you a situation. So let's say you've got Magneto sitting in the middle of the board, getting pounded on by their whole army because that's how Magneto works. And then you got a Okoye sitting behind him who bodyguards a big shot and gets killed. And then you play Seeing Red and Magneto fucking does shrapnel blast and stuns their whole list.
Right.
Like, this card is actually very good. It just is such a pain to set up that nobody plays it.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that it can key off of protectors is great if you have a good, consistent protector.
Ooh, sacrifice combo.
Finally, wombo combo we can play.
Well, now that Bob is coming out, maybe this card will actually get some play. Who the fuck cares if Bob gets dazed? Just shove Bob up every character's ass. Like, oh no, Bob got dazed, better shoot somebody. Like, he literally kills himself. I'm excited. I'm going to play this card now.
I don't know.
I'm going to play this, and Scarlet Witch is going to blow you up when you kill her brother.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the card.
Of each other.
I'm shocked that you haven't found this card before now. But
I know,
the
right? Like,
Magneto
looking,
Scarlet
like,
Witch
wait a
MODOK
second.
list, this is ideal for that. Oh,
Yeah.
you killed my friend. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wah, and you're dead.
Surprise! Doomsday chair, and you're like, what? Surprise!
A second Doomsday
What?
chair. Damn
Yeah.
it.
So here's your plan. I just made Inhumans playable. You run Black Bolt into their list, and then you chase him down with Medusa, and then when they kill Black Bolt, because you don't care if they kill Black Bolt, because he's useless, then you're like, ha! Braid Bash! And you get like 1,000,000 attacks off of Braid Bash. Oh my god, no! You play this with Quicksilver, he could chain and attack everyone in their list on their turn. That would be amazing.
I actually really like this with A-Force because as characters get hit in A-Force, other friendlies are getting power, and they have a lot of cool characters. Like if you let Angela activate all of a sudden and then hit and move and be somewhere else and ready to do her thing, like
well, no, think about this too. So you've got She-Hulk in the middle of your list, right? And they're attacking somebody else. You don't bodyguard. She-Hulk actually gains the power from the affiliation bonus,
right?
Just because you're letting them get dazed, then you just punch them. You're like,
yeah,
gotcha.
That's why I said like
just
a
kidding. Yeah.
7 power attack, or you could do
No, I like that.
or you could do a Captain Marvel just full rerolled blast because she already binary formed, or she binary formed the last turn. So
last turn before you're about to lose binary form. You're like, whatever, just do it now. You're like, beam.
Yeah. So there's lots of ways. There are lots of cool things you can do with this for 0 power.
How does this
on
card
some
not get
attack.
played?
I think it's because it's within range 2, so you got to have like a clustered list. But I think if you're playing like an Avenger cluster, you're playing E-deployments, A-Force, I think Seeing Red could get played.
I actually think this card has legitimate value.
I mean, I like it with any of the lists that have like 3 superhero models.
Yeah, it's good in those, but honestly, I think it's good with any list that has one good character. Like, if you've got a 5-point or up character in your list, this card is viable. And nobody knows what it does, so they'll not be expecting it. It's like, surprise!
Nobody expects the butterfly.
I mean, do the math on it. Like someone walks up and starts attacking you. It's like, let me think of a really good example. So let's say Valkyrie walks up and tries to swing at Magneto. You bodyguard to Okoye. Valkyrie kills Okoye. You react with Seeing Red. Magneto attacks her and then pushes her out of attack range of Magneto. Like, that's super annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to do with it. I mean, it's a very usable card.
I'm just trying to think, like, who has the best attack in the game? How to abuse it. I'm now looking up the TTS League stats.
I actually really like Ronan would be cute if he had enough power to do this and his second attack, because he could stagger them to make them lose their second action.
No. Stagger specifically forces you to shake with your first action.
Oh, lame.
They wrote it that way to prevent shit like that from happening. I'm looking up where Seeing Red is on the TTS League stats. I'm curious.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's the 4th from the end!
No.
I mean, there's a whole bunch at 0. Cards at 0, Angered Management, Escort to Safety, No Escape, Psychic Fortress. No Psychic Fortress? Wow.
Do you know, did you see the only character that they didn't take?
Oh.
Ultron.
I have to guess this one. Ow. Sad.
Wah,
So we
wah.
got Vapors of Valtor. I guess that's understandable. Thunder Wave, Sucker, Seeing Red, Second Wind, Reversal, Psychic Fortress, No Escape, Escort to Safety, and Anger Management are the only cards that were not played in the TTS Season 4 League. That's funny.
Oh, Season 5.
Actually-
Season 5 is Ultron wasn't taken. I don't know. I don't remember Season 4.
No, there was multiple characters I think that weren't taken in the 4. Anyway, we need to rate this and move on. I'm actually very excited. I think this is a 6. This is definitely a card that I hadn't looked at since like Thor came out, and now I'm going to look at again.
Do you have to be close to people with this?
2, range 2.
Yeah, so it's a setup
Conveniently bodyguard range.
There's a bit of a setup for that. I'm going to give it a 4.
Well, it's field dressing range. You're talking about your super team list. They're already standing within 2 of each other.
Maybe. I still don't. I don't like it as much as you. I don't care.
I need to build flying V lists.
Yeah, I know you do.
Commit ultimate destruction against things.
Ultimate destruction of ultimate damage. Parker.
Hey, the one thing Jeremy has learned in the last week is you never pick 16 points. That's the only thing Jeremy knows for sure.
Dude, no, never.
Never pick 16 points.
Never.
I would actually rate this. I actually think it's a 5 because in Brawly lists, I think it has a lot of value, and but I do not know if it ousts any of the other cards. And if it's not a Brawly list, I think it's a very weak card.
brawly list. I don't think it has to be a brawly list. It definitely has to be a fighting list, like a list that's intended to like win on attrition.
When I say brawl,
But-
I mean like where you're all trying to gather on an E deployment and just walk towards them in a big group, and everything's going to
I don't
happen
think-
within range 3 of each other, right in the middle.
I don't think that's true because your models do tend to pair up when you deploy. There will be some models left alone, but the models you do have usually form into small groups, and then your groups will split up.
Yeah,
And so,
but the small groups are with like 3 and 4 point models usually, because you got to have a high model count to
Sure.
make that happen. And that's when this will not have a lot of value. You're like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 power on my Craven to do an extra attack. Huzzah! Like it's not like
so I actually like this when paired with like field dressing, which is already in every list. So, because field dressing happens in reverse. You want your Okoye to field dressing your Magneto. This card works in reverse, so if they kill your Okoye, you have something to do.
Mhm.
I actually really like this card. Jeremy, what did you say? 6?
No,
You said 5?
I said 4.
You said 4?
You're a 6. You're a 6. I'm a 4.
Hold on.
Parker broke
Hold
it
on.
into a 5.
You rated Sacrifice a 5,
Yeah?
but Seeing Red is a 4?
Yes.
You don't understand how numbers work. You see, when they get bigger, that's better. You're doing it in reverse.
Tell me again, but less stupidly.
Okay. Explain to me as if though I were a child.
Parker, where are you at? Did you say 5?
I said 5.
All right.
This
it's fucking
card
5.
is better than a 5. You guys are idiots.
It's a fucking 5.
Oh my
Shut
God.
up.
I'm changing my number to a 9, so we round up to a 7. 5 it is. Next.
Smash! Unaffiliated active card. If the active character is within range 1 of an interactive terrain feature that is smaller size than they are, they may spend 2 power to play this card. The terrain feature is destroyed and removed from the battlefield. Add a number of dice to the active character's attacks this activation equal to the size of the terrain feature.
This is the best add dice card in the game.
Mhm.
Not even close. There was a bit where the meta was you play Smash with MODOK. MODOK,
So
you would actually
stupid.
deploy MODOK in a location where he could move once and be within range of a kiosk. And that's the only place you would ever deploy him, is somewhere he could move once and be within range 1 of a kiosk. Turn 2, you activate him, play Smash with the 2 power you have, and you just kill something. It doesn't matter what it is, it's dead. Because it's 9 dice psionic blast attacks, which is fucking crazy. You could also use Red Skull to play Cosmic Invigoration and get free rerolls on this. Put Zemo behind him. So you're doing 9 dice, full rerolls, 1 extra reroll, and then spend power to reroll more. And it was just like, that guy died. Next guy, target somebody else, that guy died. Your turn. And then MODOK still has 10 power. And you're like, what the fuck? It was so stupid. It got to the point where people just wouldn't deploy anywhere near MODOK.
Yeah, this is a big damage card.
Mhm.
I mean, it's still viable. Hell, you could use it with Magneto today, and it's scary as
Yeah.
hell.
Well, it's only size 1 for Magneto, because it has to be smaller than you.
That's true.
MODOK being size 4 is the big part.
But it adds to attacks this turn. I mean,
This activation.
yeah,
Yes,
this
turn.
activation. Yeah, like that's a big deal.
It actually matters that it's not during the turn, because all you've got doesn't stack with it. Or else it would be nuts. Because then you could smash with someone like Punisher and then get the extra thing on 8 attacks. And then the 1 die is worth it. Doomed Prophecy, smash all you've got. Oh man. It's like 8 die attacks.
It's a good damage card. I mean, it's cheap. It only costs 2 to add basically 1, 2, or 3 dice to your attacks for an entire
Yeah.
activation.
I'm wondering if Hulk was balanced around this card and they didn't realize that it was better to just throw shit into people because he has no dice mods.
Mm.
It's like, why would I smash a size 3-piece terrain when I would smash it into you? Like, I would just smash it into you. That's fine.
Mhm.
Right.
I'll just do the 3 damage instead of the 1.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to say about this card is it seems great, but a lot of the biggest models in the game also manipulate terrain themselves, and so you have to find the strange situation where you would rather use your big model to pick up the terrain and use it as a weapon rather than just throw it and just.
Well, that's an interesting balancing point for the card, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's you're exactly right.
Right.
There's situations where you wouldn't want to do that.
You know who really likes this
but-
card? I just like Thanos really likes this fucking card.
It's not bad with Thanos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good card for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, I give this a 5.
An attrition only card that doesn't move people and doesn't get you points by simply playing it.
It kind of gives you wall crawler because the thing in front of you disappears.
If it's
Oh my
smaller than
God.
you, therefore it doesn't
Yeah.
give you wall crawler.
I know, I just joked. Fucking. Gives the rest of your
That's the
list
other
wall
problem
crawler.
about rocket boots. Who the fuck cares what piece of train are you trying to move over that's in your way?
Yeah.
You probably deployed terribly.
Depending, it's so. I want to say 4 or a 5, and you said 5, so 5 is fine.
Again, the way I decide I say it's a 5. If every card in the game was exactly this strong, I would be happy with that.
That's true. I'm happy with that. That's fine. It does a thing. It does it correctly.
I like that it gets. I actually going to give it a 5, and I want to give it a 4 based on the current state of the game. But I love that every single big character that gets made makes the stock of this card goes up. Like every single big guy that doesn't throw is like, oh, cool, another way to use Smash. Like that's actually cool.
Ooh, actually, you know who would be really good with this card? Ghost Rider.
Yes.
See a 3?
He's size 3. He also could smash a size 2 thing and roll a 12 dice penance stare, which would be funny. Smash!
God.
I smash your soul! It would be hilarious. He also has a beam attack, which is not irrelevant.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously a 6 dice range 3 strike, which is pretty great. And he cannot throw terrain, so it's not a waste for him to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would actually be a pretty good use of this card. And he generally will have enough power to actually play it. Cool. All right. So we said 5, right? Parker said 5 as well.
Yep.
Next up.
Sucker. Unaffiliated active card. When 2 allied characters are within range 3 of the same injured enemy character, they may both spend any amount of power to play this card. The enemy character loses power equal to the total amount spent. Oh.
Holy fuck. Remember when this was in everyone's 8 cards?
Well, it had to be.
There was literally a time for like a month where every single player had this in their 8. Because we were all just trying to stop Ultron. And what a sentence that is nowadays. Yeah. Don't forget to put Sucker in so you can stop Age of Ultron. Man, we're going to be like the old fogies at one point. Yeah, this card sucks. It is real bad. If it wasn't for the fact that some abilities were absolutely silly, this card would just be laughable. You have to have 2 allied characters within 3 of the same injured enemy character, and then spend power to make them lose power. That's just stupid. Like, this is so bad nowadays. 2. Just going out there. It's a 2.
It's so funny that the model has to be injured for it to work.
I take it back. It's a 1. I totally just saw that. Never mind.
It's so bad. I'll say a 2. It does a thing. Maybe there's something out there. I don't know.
Nah, until something gets printed that makes it relevant, because it served its purpose. You would not have to deal with Age of Ultron in a battle box game. That was worth it. But until something like that comes up again, this card is fucking awful.
I was gonna say, I think it is a 2 because the injured thing I think is less. I think you'll actually use it more often on somebody who's injured because that's when they'll have the most power. They probably will in the entire game, unless they're playing a super premium character that's got tons of power all the time, even on their healthy side. And I don't. Again, I do not think this
problem,
card.
Though, that you're not trying to stop someone generally that has 10 power, because that means you're moving up 2 models and spending 10 power to stop them. Like you're trying to stop them when they have 2 and they need 2. You're moving up and making them lose 1. That's when this card is actually useful. You're like, oh, you need 8 power for Age of Ultron, and currently you'll have 1 more than you need. I'll move up and Sucker for 2 and then kill you, and you just don't come back. But like, if you're trying to kill Ghost Rider, do the math on trying to stop Deal with the Devil. You have to get him to less than 4 remaining hit points and then drain him to 0 to stop Deal with the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, I have to try and deal damage to you until you have less than 4 hit points. Do that fucking mental gymnastics of, I'm going to attack you but try not to kill you, and then leave you with about 3 hit points. and then play Sucker, because that's the answer. Drain
Yeah.
you to 0, keeping in mind I've been damaging you this whole time, so you probably have a shitload of power, and
Yeah.
you're Ghost Rider, so you generate extra power anyway whenever I attack people, and then I can kill you. Just fucking kill him twice, that's easier.
Yeah. I agree this is a really bad card. But one of the things that, for example, was it No Escape was our last one, right? Was our only number one? Yeah, our only one rating was No Escape. And No
We have
Escape
2.
was really difficult to do and does nothing. This is difficult to do, but it does something, right?
We have 4 ones. We have Anger
Oh.
Management, To Me My X-Men, Heave Ho, and No Escape.
Okay, yeah, this is a one. Moving on. I thought we only had one that was that bad, but this is this is as bad as those cards by far. Yeah, a 1.
And we will theoretically have 5 unofficially. We're just waiting for it to get printed.
That's right.
Oh my god.
My
It's
least
in
favorite card.
in test mode at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Tactical Analysis, unaffiliated active card. This active character may spend 2 power to play this card. Choose another allied character within range 3 of the character playing this card. The chosen character may advance short. Here's another one that was in everybody's bundle for a while.
This was the go-to until Climbing Gear came out. Well, sorry, Aim Lackeys was the go-to until people finally quit crutching on MODOK and played other models, and then this was the go-to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I mean, this card is legit, but there's other cards that now kind of take its spot easily without even question.
Well, there is a difference. So the important thing is this makes the advance happen
On somebody else's
when
turn.
the active character doesn't have to be the person the active character on Climbing Gear is the person who moves. Tactical Analysis, you can move somebody like after they've already gone, and you can move someone that isn't paying the power. And so it's differently flexible, but yeah, Climbing Gear is superior if you're only caring about how you get to move. But this card is different. Yeah.
Sure, it only costs 2. I mean, it does a different kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I think that this one's just been outclassed.
Generally, yeah. It is certainly on the back burner. Most people would just rather play Climbing Gear.
But,
It's
I mean,
it's not as good as Climbing Gear, but it is more flexible than Climbing Gear.
you know, I mean, there is those lists that need extra movement, like a lot of movement. And this also goes in those lists. I mean, along with Climbing Gear, you can put a lot of different movement in there, and it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
it's in there.
Somebody explain to me, why is Climbing Gear automatically better? Costs 1 more power and it's just Wall Crawler? Is that the only thing that makes it better?
No.
You play it with the character wanting to move. You don't need 2 people.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you can play it
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere. That's how it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a non-interactive card.
Mhm.
You don't have to set it up at all. This you have to have a friend within range 3, and that friend has to activate.
Mm-hmm.
Because if in the situation, theoretically, let's say my character goes in, does its thing, and wants to move away, well, then you just play Climbing Gear, move away. Or if you want to get into the combat, you play Climbing Gear, you move into the combat, you go. With Tactical Analysis, you need the other person to activate for the move to happen. So if you want to go into the combat, they have to go first and play it, and then they move you towards said combat, but you don't get to go. You have to wait around.
You lose the
and then
initiative,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, on the retreat, like if you pick up an objective, you want to move away, this card's actually better, because usually the person picking up the objectives is out of power. But yeah, they're different. This is more of a tactical card. The other one is a lot more of an aggressive card. I give this a 6. We gave Climbing Gear an 8. It's noticeably worse than Climbing Gear, I think, but still very viable.
It's a movement card. Makes it better than average, so I'll give it a 6. 6.
Parker.
I like it a 6 as well. I almost want to give it a 7 just for that only 2 power cost. I think that's great. But that's why.
6 it is. Next up.
Trip Up, unaffiliated reactive card. When an allied character targets an enemy character with an attack during his activation, and the target character is within range 2 of another allied character, the allied character may spend 1 power each to play this card. Sorry, both characters. If the targeted character is dealt damage after the attack is resolved, it suffers stun and stagger.
Stun and Stagger is pretty good.
What was the name of the card
like
we
it.
just played? There was just what's the name of the card that gives you 2 attack dice for a similar effect, right?
Oh, 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So this is 1-2 punch. Only instead of getting 2 dice that do absolutely nothing, it should hopefully stun and stagger.
Yeah, that's the big question is as to damage. As we're this and disarm were really similar slots, and so if you're gonna play this, you just play disarm usually. Because the point of stunning and staggering somebody is generally to reduce their output, and disarm just reduces their output without having a chance of failure.
Right.
They're both good, and you can play both. Disarm is, I think, better. So the only time this card is better than disarm is when you want to stop their actions, but not their damage, which seems pretty unlikely. Yeah, I don't see that. I guess it's stunning them might be relevant sometimes. Like stunning Hulk is way more important than stunning some other characters. Like Punisher. Punisher doesn't really care if he gets stunned.
The one problem with this card is it does empower all of those cards in the game and all those abilities in the game that remove special conditions that don't actually get very great. But if you spent a tax card on this and they're playing as Guardians and you're just like womp 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 womp, you're like, oh, I lost half of the effect of this card.
I got you. Trip up, Children of the Atom. I gained 2 power. Fuck.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why am I so bad at this game?
Crew of the Milano. If you're playing that, there's lots of cards in the game that are actually or effects in the game that are just kind of sitting there all the time, not doing much, until all of a sudden you get great premium for them, and this would be a great premium opportunity for an opponent who had one of those effects. Not to say it's a reason not to take this card. It
brings up a good point though, because you can cleanse and shake the negative effects. You can't cleanse and shake disarm, so it's just another reason it's worse than disarm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. So we gave disarm a 7. I think this is in very much the same vein. How about a 5? I'm going to open the bidding with. Tactics card that staggers an enemy is I don't think can be worse than a 5.
I'll buy 5. That's fine.
If you played this card, I wouldn't be mad. Does that make sense? Like if I saw it across my table, I'd be like, okay, all right, you'll try. That makes sense.
Yeah. You staggered me. All right. Well, you played a card to stagger me instead of just having bullshit attacks. So I guess that's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, 5 seems fair.
5 it is. One more? We got 2 more.
Yep, 2 more. Unearthly Rage. Unaffiliated active card. During a character's activation, it may spend 2 power to play this card. This activation, if the character is within 2 or more enemy characters while making its next attack, add 2 die to its attack roll. So 2 power for 2 dice if they are surrounded by at least 2 or more people.
Jeremy, this card is basically Bitter Rivals. You see that?
Wrong. That is incorrect.
Remember when this card came out, we're like, man, this is actually a good card. Never. That never happened.
Yeah.
Battle Lust was always better.
I just don't like 2 power for 2 dice. I just don't like that.
And especially with restrictions. If there was a card that just said pay any amount of power, roll that many additional dice, I don't know that would actually be that good.
Yeah.
It would be good, but it wouldn't be that good.
Right.
It would be like, all right, that's fine.
This game has developed into a certain way where the attrition game, that's a harder way to play, right? And all these cards kind of line up into that. Like, I'm going to kill your models and win. Well, you can try and kill my models, but you're not going to win. And
maybe it's hard for you to win that way if you're a punk.
Okay.
It's easy for me. I just walk over my opponent's models.
That's okay. I
just say the words cruel twist and spend 6 power and they fall down.
You know how I feel about that phrase. You need to shut up. I'm just starting to get through counseling.
All right.
Yeah, so again, this is an attrition card and you have to set it up, and that just makes it all negative in my for this game. I don't think you put this card in your list.
Yeah, it's not good. We've just stated how there's other cards that are better. We gave Smash, which is noticeably better than this, a 5. What did we give Battle Lust? We gave Battle Lust a 5, so this is at least a 4, if not worse.
I feel like it's a 3. You got to set a lot of shit up to make this do something.
So what we give 1-2 Punch? We gave 1-2 Punch a 3. This is I think I'm gonna have to go with 4. It's noticeably better than 1-2 Punch, and it's noticeably worse than Smash and Battle Lust. So I'm giving this a 4.
I was going to give this a 4 as well, based upon the previous.
The 4s have it. Jeremy's wrong, but he votes 4 anyway.
Still
right.
strong.
The-
Strong 3.
The last card.
Exceptional healing. Because when you get that feeling, you want exceptional healing.
Oh Jesus.
Shut
Which-
up.
I am going to say that every single time I play this card, and I'll play it a lot because I like it. Unaffiliated reactive card. When an allied character with the healing factor superpower would be damaged by an enemy effect, it may spend 3 power to play this card, reduce the amount of damage suffered to 1. An amazing card that's actually getting better as the game progresses because they keep printing things with healing
Right.
factor.
Yeah, so Odin's Blessing we gave an 8. It is the exact same wording as Odin's Blessing, except that it's unaffiliated and requires you to have a trait. So does the fact that it is unaffiliated but requires you to have a trait noticeably better or worse than just being affiliated? And it's not affiliated, an affiliation model. So you must be an actual Asgardian, not just playing with the Asgardians.
So let's unroll this as it is. Like, look, Asgardians can heal as they go as well. The other models don't just heal.
The models
in the
with
same
healing
way.
factor don't just heal.
No,
the
they
same
don't.
way.
Like, they don't. Asgardians can't be nickel and dimed. Like, it doesn't work in the same way. It's not the
You
same
mean because
thing.
they have better defensive stats? Is that what you mean?
Defensive stats. When they activate, you can heal other models. Like, things change. Like, most of the. So we're talking about basically Wolverine and Sabretooth, right? Pretty
It's
much.
Wolverine, Sabretooth, Deadpool, and Lizard currently.
Okay.
4.
2 of those models
then-
aren't released yet. The 2 that we play against.
Sure, Deadpool comes out in 2 days, and Lizard comes out in 16 days. So they'll both be out by the end of the month. So it is worth talking about.
So the stock is going up.
Stock is going up quickly. At this rate, this card will be better.
Yeah.
If the pace holds, if every 16 days there are 2 new models.
Yeah.
But they're not the same. I guess that's my point. They're not exactly the same.
Well, you're the one that keeps saying Wolverine's trash, so
I
I don't
think he is
understand what your
trash.
point is. Well, I think you're trash. Okay, so there's no question we agree
You're a jerk.
Sabretooth is a good model. There's no question Sabretooth's good, right?
Yes, okay, fine.
Okay.
Move on.
I think Wolverine and Deadpool are about fair at their point cost. They're not exceptional models, but they're not bad. They're very solid at what they do if you can find a spot to put them in. I think Lizard is going to be a very easy drop-in in a lot of lists, but very easy drop-ins don't generally come with a tactics card. So that's going to be a game-time decision for a lot of people. That being said, putting all 4 of these guys together and playing this card seems really fucking annoying.
It certainly is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think we just need to give it an 8 because we do not have the evidence to show that it's going to be better or worse long term than Odin's Blessing. We know that its effect is amazing. The ability to prevent damage down to 1 is amazing.
It's a
Correct.
guaranteed recalibration effect for the majority of the time we use recalibration. Like, it's a guaranteed version of that on a model that has to automatically heal the 1 damage it just took. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
going
the best part.
Yeah, it's like you're not even playing it on a model that's not that, that, okay, I'm going to reduce it down to 1, but at least you did 1. You're like, no, I'm going to reduce it down to 1. Then Wolverine activates, it heals that 1, and then another 1. You're like, oh, well, shit. Like, it if the model
good
hasn't
point.
activated yet, it does nothing. It literally
good
makes the roll go away.
You said Odin's was an 8,
We gave Odin's an 8.
and you say you give it an 8. Exceptional healing.
You think this card is worse than Odin's Blessing? Is that what you're saying, or are you just implying?
I'm asking you.
I think it's exactly the same because they do the same thing. So if you're saying that we need to rate it differently because the amount of models that can play it, or are we saying that the models that can play this card are noticeably better or worse than the Asgardians? It's like that's the only 2 reasons we can't give this an 8.
Both.
You think both of those are true?
I think it's actually a problem because I think being Asgardian is actually kind of a problem because it's not an Asgardian model. It's an Asgardian model in Asgardians. You have to be playing Thor.
You do have to be playing Asgardians.
Right.
Well, you don't have to necessarily play Thor. We could see more models later on. Like we could see another Thor leader. You have to be playing currently Thor. Well, actually, no, you don't. You don't have to play Thor. It's just worse if you don't.
Right, there
somehow.
you go. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to play it as Guardian list, so it has to be as Guardians. Whereas the healing factor guys, you can just play. If you have 2 healing factor guys in your roster at all, exceptional healing is great. Like, it's definitely something you're putting in your list.
Yeah, exceptional healing is easier to put in a random list, but Odin's Blessing is easier to make the decision, because if you are playing Asgard, Odin's Blessing is just in, because there's no question, because you have so many optimal targets to put it on. And currently they're just different. I think eventually exceptional healing will end up being better because it has more options to play it on. But that doesn't change the effect we're talking about. Like, if 1-2 Punch said you had to be on a small base to play it, like, would that really change the effect? Like, so the question is the effect changing, or is it just our perception of it? So, like, when we tell you that, here's a good example. Magnetic refraction. When I tell you, you only get to replay it if you're playing Brotherhood, where do you rate it? Then if I told you it was just a Brotherhood affiliated card, where would you rate it? If I just told you it was replayable but Brotherhood only, you'd probably give it a 9. But if I told you that it's not replayable unless you're playing Brotherhood, I think a lot of people give it an 8. Because it's just the way you look at it. It's like, okay, well, I'm seeing this thing that has then a restriction on it. What if you just looked at it in, like, a smaller scope? It's like, well, if you just assumed that you could only play it in Asgard before, then you're not worrying about if you could play it on other people. And same for exceptional healing. Does any of that make sense?
It does. What I'm having a conflict with is, how can I hate Wolverine but I love Wolverine? That's the crux of all of it.
I mean, you don't have to love Wolverine.
I like him. I you know what? Hugh Jackman is my spirit animal, and there's a lot going on there. I'm conflicted in a lot of ways. Look,
you watch those naked running scenes a bit too much, did you?
It's legit. You know what? I'm gonna say a 7 because I'm gonna fight you on it, but he's gonna give you an 8. Parker will say an 8, and it'll just be a goddamn 8.
I mean, you said 8 enough times there that I can edit it for you to say 8 as well. So it's fine.
Damn it! I've fallen for it again.
Parker,
100% an 8.
Yeah.
Damn
what
it!
an idiot. You just wasted like 10 minutes of our life.
Damn
for that
it!
Reason. All right. And with that, we have brought Tactics cards to a close. We have rated every Tactics card in the game. They're done. We don't have to worry about them anymore. Till Friday.
You are all welcome.
Yeah, good job.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird to get here, and I'm like, wait a second, this is a character specific card. Oh no, it's not. It just says healing factor.
Yep.
Let's all
It's
go
like,
to
why
the
is this card
lobby.
here? Because we did all the character cards already. I was so struck. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the main topic. It took a bit longer than we expected, but that's how it goes. So Parker, why don't you tell us about your graphic novel that has Kraven in it and why it's good that he takes his face off and becomes Spider-Man? No, he takes Spider-Man's face off and becomes Spider-Man.
I'm not in
by
for that.
putting his face on.
I'm not in for any of that Craven shit. I am.
Oh, okay.
Instead, I am talking all about the main man, the Lizard. I love the Lizard. It's actually one of the very first Spider-Man villains that I fell in love with Spider-Man the title for, because I was a big reptile fan when I was a kid, big dinosaur fans. When I found out that there was a Lizard Man and bad guy, I was like, oh, give me some of that. And I as a kid, I was totally enamored by this standard like Spider-Man the animated series version of the Lizard. So I was blown away when I found out that some artists and writers had taken him to a totally different direction, and I think a very fascinating sci-fi direction. So I'm going to talk about one of my favorite versions. I'm just going to say it, my favorite version of the Lizard that was ever put in. It's actually in Spider-Man the Gauntlet Volume 5 is the actual graphic novel, Spider-Man the Gauntlet Volume 5. The Gauntlet was this longer arc where Spider-Man basically goes up against all the big Sinister Six villains kind of one at a time. And at one point, he goes up against the Lizard in this little mini part of the Gauntlet called The Shed. And I love the Shed version of the Lizard. It was written by Zeb Wells, who's a really dark comic book writer, and you would not expect him to write Spider-Man because Spider-Man's kind of jokey and Zeb does not joke. And Chris Bacalo, who's one of my favorite artists, he does this really kind of cartoony style, but he makes a lot of dark colors, a lot of black all over the page. So when you put them together, it makes a super dark story that somehow stays like comic book. It still looks like a comic book, but it's really dark. And as you might imagine, the Lizard basically, if you took the Lizard, which is, Dr. Kurt Connors turns himself into a lizard guy to fix his arm, and you actually consider what would happen if a lizard brain, like the lizard part of a brain, was actually inserted inside of a mammal, and like there was a schizoid personality where the lizard part of Kurt Connors' brain was fighting for control over his actual body. And there was this terrible inner turmoil between the fight or flight response of this monster inside of Kurt Connors as he's dealing with this incredible stress of his personal life. And then, of course, add into that Spider-Man wants to stop him from turning into a monster too. It's an amazing, just short comic. And one of the only bad things about it is there's not a lot of issues in this graphic novel. There's only like 4 or 5 issues in it. But it's super good, and of course it's called The Shed because by the end of this particular graphic novel, we see a brand new kind of the lizard show up, and he's got a couple of new powers that are super cool related to this idea of a lizard brain and the lizard brain that all organisms have, and how he could use his own fact that he is a lizard with this incredible like lizard brain to influence the lizard brain of other creatures, and it's awesome. And Chris Bacalo's lizard that he draws in here is amazing looking and different than the one we see in this game and in previous incarnations. It looks so cool. And every single time Chris Bacalo or Zeb Wells shows up in another thing, he brings that. So it also shows up in X-Men with Great Power as another graphic novel that features the Lizard with X-Men and a Spider-Man crossover, and Zeb Wells and Zeb Wells not did it, but Bacalo brought his lizard back, and so they used Zeb Wells' lizard brain, Lizard Man, in it. Super cool. So if you're a fan of the Lizard, but you haven't seen anybody take him to a cool place, I recommend that Spider-Man, The Gauntlet, Volume 5.
Cool. That sucked. No, I'm just kidding. Alrighty. I'm actually going to remember to put in the timestamp for the end of the episode today.
Ta-da.
The bully for you.
Alright, so are you guys good? Do we have anything else to talk about today?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, thanks you guys for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a little bit longer, I think. Although, I think most of that time was in the pre-ramble. We had like a 45-minute pre-ramble today.
Mm-hmm.
Parker couldn't quit talking about that time he was on the street stealing from everybody.
Wait, what? I don't know if you're trying to hype. Are you just trying to hype the pre-ramble?
No, I'm just making shit up.
Okay.
Although, I'm actually curious, did you become a science teacher because the Lizard was a science teacher or because Peter Parker was a science teacher?
Peter Parker wasn't a science teacher until I was already a science teacher.
So
But
you're kind of late to the boat on that one.
But my all my profile pictures at school, because we do so much stuff online now, even before online school this year, all my profile stuff is always one of the covers of Spider-Man while he's a teacher, because he's dressed up as Spider-Man and he's got a piece of chalk and he's like pointing at the blackboard behind him trying to get all the students' attention. I was like, that's awesome. And so that's always been my profile picture and everything associated with the school.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would do.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
This is Jeremy.
And this has been The Gang Takes Their Faces Off.
Are we live? Are we podcasting, Parker?
I've been podcasting.
This
Good.
is what live looks like.
Okay, we're podcasting now.
I'm still podcasting.
Oh, let's see if we have any new new stats.
From the online leagues?
No, not that. So we're north of 2,000 listens. We have 2056 listens. Estimated audience size of 53 though, which is
Nice.
is up. We are noticeably on the uptrend. So let's see, during February 17th, we had 42 listens. The week of February 17th. Then March we were up to 47, and then let's see here. May 5th, we had 48. And then this week, we had 82 listens. So we're trending upwards.
Nice.
I believe this is what they call having a virus.
I have been listening. I mean, I'm not going to say, okay, I listened 80 times this week. Is that a thing? Is that bad?
Unique listens.
Is that bad
No.
for stats?
It's unique listens. But I've been buying extra phones on Craigslist. And so I download it on 19 devices every week.
We're
I don't know
buying
if that
burners.
helps.
We're buying
Yeah, I'm buying
burners.
burner
up.
phones.
Yeah. That's a
Ooh.
good investment, I think.
Park, are you going to come up tomorrow? You're going to be a butt.
It's Sarah's night out or in out. She's still doing online thing, but when I get there, I'll be really late if I'm there. So we'll find out.
Oh, well, no problem, because I'm working every day from now until, like, New Year's, I think. I don't know. It's going to be a while.
You'll be fine. Do you
Yeah, I
guys?
added it up.
Do you-
I'm working, like, 78 hours in 5 days or something.
Do they just call it the COVID schedule at your work? It was
Yeah,
just,
basically.
you just take that page and just put it up on.
Well,
the
that
window.
wasn't that bad because we were still only open. We were only open till 8. We weren't doing full double shifts.
That's true.
And so, yeah, I was only doing 9-hour shifts, not 13-hour shifts. Yeah, let's see. So, 13 hours times 5 plus an extra hour on Saturday plus the 6 hours I worked today. 72 hours in 6 days. That's not that bad. I've definitely worked more hours in less days. Yeah, the thing that gets you, though, is the no, like, official break times. That's what gets you. Because you can't just go sit down for an hour and, like, come back.
Mhm.
Like you're always, like, you always have to be ready to do stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of downtime. It's just when you need to use the restroom and you just hit, like, you kind of needed to go before anything happened, and then you get, like, a 2-hour wall of bullshit that you have to deal with and you can't get away to, like, go take a piss. That's really annoying.
I used to work in a coffee shop where that was exactly the thing. I was the only one there,
Yeah.
and every time
like-
my stomach would start to hurt, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is going to take like at least 7 minutes. Like if I rush,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and of
This
course,
is not going to be an in and out situation. I can't
second
like
I
I
lock
can't
the
pretend
door.
to go. I can't go pretend to go refill the paper towels and be right back. Like I can't. I have to actually go, and there's going to be
Yeah.
some noises.
you're in the store, and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
well, I'm going to go in there, and I have to lock the door, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you hear someone enter, and you're like, motherfucker.
You son of a bitch. I can't tell you. It's got to be in the hundreds of times. It's like oh man, finally I've been here for 9 hours. I finally get to go take a shit. And I sit down and I hear the phone ring. I'm like, you son of a bitch! Like as soon as I sit down every time. It's like, how do they know?
Oh yeah, they can feel it.
I've gotten so annoyed that I've just taken the phone into the bathroom with me before. I was like, I will just talk to you on the can.
You're like, I'm not sure. Let me open the folder and look for that magic card.
Yeah, let me put you on
Um,
mute for a minute. You gotta mute through the flush, or else there's no mistaking what's going on. Alright, well, cool. We got some exciting stuff happening. It's almost like X-Force are a real thing now. We're getting pretty close.
Jesus. So you got, we're gonna get so many models dumped on us again. Like, oh man.
There's
like
only 5. There's only 5 in July.
in June though. What is it in June? Like 12?
It's 6 in a building.
I thought there was 2 dumps in July. I think we're coming up to 1, and I think 2 weeks later we get a whole bunch more, right?
No, that's June. Now is June. Next month is July.
Okay, so middle of
So
June.
in
and
2
then
days,
first
in
week,
2 days, we get our first wave in June, and then 2 weeks after that, we get the rest of the stuff in June, and then 2 weeks after that, we get the stuff in July. Yeah, it should be July 10th. So it's 3 models in 2 days, 3 models in a building 2 weeks after that, and then 5 models 2 weeks after that. So over the course of 4 weeks, we're getting 12, 17 models and a 3-story building in 4 weeks.
What is that, like $350? Jesus.
Oh, it's way more than that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Son of a
Uh,
bitch.
40 times 6 plus 5 plus 85 plus 80 plus 25. $435.
Ooh, hopefully I still have that minion discount. God damn.
That brings your total to $391.05 plus tax,
I'm
which
out.
is times 1.9. Nope, that was wrong. 391.50 times 1.096. 429.08. We'll see how close I am. 429.08. I think that's what your total is going to be.
I'm gonna steal half of it. There's no way I can pay for all that. That's not acceptable.
I just take it off your store credit when I see you take stuff.
They're like, Jeremy, your store credit is like $1,200. I'm like, what?
We actually had that happen. One of our, I'm not going to say who, one of our accounts, when we transferred in all of our old data for to our new point of sale system, one of our accounts was misentered as a charge account. And so instead of spending store credit the person thought they had, they were spending they were racking up charges on their charge account. And so instead of being at zero, they owed us money equal to the amount they had spent. And so we had to explain to them they needed to pay back all of the money they had spent mistakenly.
Wow.
When they didn't have store credit, because they thought the charge account, because it was like $100, I think. And so they basically had spent $100 they thought was store credit in the negative, and so they owed us, and they went to buy something more with it. I'm like, no, this isn't, like, you owe us like $114.
Yeah, I mean, I heard EJ was talking about that, and I think you were as well. I was kind of overhearing. I'm like, you would know if you had hundreds of dollars in credit. Like, that's not like $5. Right. Like, don't be a dumbass.
Well, you say that, and some people seem to think that, like, we used the honor system for snacks originally, right? You remember this?
Yeah.
There was just a box that you put money in. Yeah, there was just a little brown box on top of the fridge that had like a money slot in it, and you just put your money in the box when you got stuff out of the fridge. And so obviously some people don't know how honor systems are supposed to work and just take stuff, and that happens. And then some other people were like, well, I'll just keep a total in my head and I'll pay you at the end of the night. And that's what a lot of people like to do. And we stopped doing that for many reasons, but one of which was someone had recorded a tab on a business card. They just took one of our business cards and just tally marked how many dollars they owed us.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw them with their holding the card at the register one time, and they had like 160 check marks on there that they hadn't paid. And I was like, that's not how tabs work. That's how stealing and recording it works. Like that's beyond reasonable, right? Like, nobody would think that's okay to owe the store over $100 for snacks.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
That's not an amount of money you can spend in a day or a weekend. That's like, you've gone weeks, if not months, without paying this. And like, that's just abusing the system. So we had to stop people from doing that.
Oh, that one there. That's 100,000. That one.
Yeah.
That one's...
Sports car, $275,000. You're gonna want to hold on to that one.
You want to hold on to that one? We're good for it. We're good for every penny.
And I don't think the person was like trying to steal or anything. It's just like, that's clearly not how the system's supposed to work. We caught multiple people stealing red-handed.
Really?
Yeah, one of our people that I caught stealing. I was pretty sure that they were taking stuff without paying. But they were doing it in a really odd way. They were pretending to put money in the box so that we would think that they were paying. But like, I would go to take money out, like to empty it like every couple days. I'm like, I feel like there should be more than this in here, because I saw, and because sometimes it's just slow and you have that many people in. I was like, I was pretty sure that so and so got like several energy drinks and stuff. Anyway, so it got to the point where I started checking after he was putting the money in the box. And it was very obvious that he was not putting the money in the box. So I was like, all right, well, next time he's up here, we'll just get him. And so I empty the box completely when I saw him like getting out of his car. And then I told multiple people that were trustworthy to keep an eye on him. And so he asked a bunch of people if they want anything, because he's going to go get drinks and he's going to buy them drinks, right? So he goes to get stuff out of the fridge, grabs multiple sodas and like chips and a candy bar. It's like $5 worth of stuff. He pulls out his wallet after setting all the stuff down, reaches up to put money in the thing like he's reaching into his billfold. And because I'm quiet when I want to be, I am standing about 1.5 feet behind him at this point. And he does this like look over your shoulder thing to see if anybody's watching. And I'm standing right there just staring at him. And he's like, hi. I was like, what's up, man? And then he's like,
man.
not much. And I can see into his wallet. He has no money in his wallet. So he's pretending to reach into his wallet to grab money that doesn't exist and then put it in the box. I was like, and then so he pulls his hand out of the box and he's like, oh, like, not much. And he like goes and sits down. And then, like, as he's walking away, I open the box and show him there's no money in it. And I'm like, so, you gonna pay for those? And he's like, shit. And then I was like, we know you've been stealing. You have to get your stuff and leave.
That's crazy.
And I'm sure there's been way more people than we've caught. But I've caught a lot of people stealing. And more often than not, it's young Magic players because they either have not learned the like responsibility of money yet, or they are just simply like overspend and then have no money for stuff and they don't want to wait.
Yeah. I'm just glad you guys haven't caught me yet. I mean, I take all kinds of things when you're not looking. I just like I it's not because of money, it's because of the thrill.
Yeah.
I mean, and I put shit in people's pot. Like Parker, you've walked out with a lot. You've walked out with a lot of money's worth of paints and models, and you haven't said a word about it. So I guess that's cool. I guess it's fine.
Well, we know it's not paint because he'd get home and be like, "Where the fuck did I get paint?"
Yeah,
I don't buy paint.
I would immediately
It's not
walk
like you
that
get
shit.
home like, "Oh, I must have bought that Thambar Black I needed." I
would have
guess.
I would have walked that shit right back in and been like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, there's
How dare
paint.
you.
There's paint here. Why?
I got paint on me when I was in your store.
There's paint in my possession.
Mm-hmm. This is not okay.
This is not okay. I believe something is amiss. Because it sure as shit ain't me.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. It's sad how that stuff happens because they get caught and they're just it's just such an awful thing. One time I had I was dropping off one of my cooks. No, it was a dishwasher. And I look over and I'm like, "What do you got there, man?" And this is before I ran a kitchen. This is back in the day when I was just a cook.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a dishwasher. I'm like, "What do you got there, man?" I'm dropping him off. And in his backpack, he pulls out this sheet of brownies. It's not even opened.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking
Yeah.
like in shrink wrap, like a
Merchandise
industrial
from the
size,
building, yeah.
like 80-person tray of fucking brownies, non-cut, just brownies. And I'm like, "What is that, man? Why did you get that?" Chef said I could take it, man. I'm like, dude.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He's like, I need to get out here. So I just drop him off and he runs across the
Yeah.
field with a pan of fucking brownies. I'm like, what is going on? But yeah.
How
like
did he get a pan? We had it like in a bag, like in a duffel
He
bag.
carried it out. Yeah,
He just carried it the fuck out. I
He
mean,
just
who's going to
stole
stop
it
you?
from the business? Yeah.
Oh wow.
I never forget. Chef said I could take it, man. That's exactly what he said. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's
Just-
no
it's just
fucking
straight
way.
I've always
Brand new full tray of brownies.
what always blows me. I my students tell me all the time, like, you never get mad at anything, Mr. G. Like, nope, I don't get mad at anything except when somebody steals my lab shit. I go, because it's not like there's no market for this. Like, there's no reason to have a pipette. Like, why would you want one? Like it's not even.
Cooking
There's
that
nothing
meth.
useful. Like, there's nothing. Like, when people steal, sometimes like they've stolen fossils from me and stuff like that. Like, or like certain kinds of rocks. I used to have a mineral collection. Well, I still have a mineral collection, minus eventually graphite, because the kids would just steal graphite constantly. Like, I don't know what they thought graphite was. It's the stuff in your fucking pencils. Like, why?
It's black powder.
Right. But they wanted it, and so they just kept taking it over and over and over again. And it always blew my mind. And I had so many science teachers who would say, "I'm never going to do that science experiments because kids will just steal everything." And I always say, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway, even though I know I'm going to lose stuff. But it blows my mind. It blows my mind how many kids will steal things, and I know they're just taking it. It's so weird.
So one of my first weeks working at 31st Century, it's my first time working alone as a employee anywhere, really, right? Because it's pretty hard to find a job that requires no experience, where you're alone for large portions of your shift.
Yeah.
Like, completely alone. There is no supervision. There's no one to even talk to about what you're supposed to be doing.
A library.
And so, do what?
A library.
Library? No, there's usually more than one person working at a library. No, it might be quiet and you might be by yourself a lot, but like it's not completely like zero supervision. A lot of them are like convenience store clerks and stuff. Like overnight jobs are usually the stuff you do. But even if you're working in like a stock room overnight and you're the only one that works overnight, there's someone in the building, right? Like a security guard or somebody. Like I'm like working at 31st Century, it's 12-hour days completely by yourself. And that's fairly common with game stores because you can't usually afford to have multiple people working, especially for long hours. But anyway, so we had just put in all these nice like chest-high bookshelves all the way around the store that held merchandise. And on top of these bookshelves, we had ordered in these plastic cases that closed and had a little latch and a lock on them. And they're just these little cheap like jewelry box locks, like 50 cents to $1 little padlocks that were like wouldn't hold up to, like, you could jam them open with a pencil if you wanted to. Like, they're complete junk. And they have those like flat stamp keys that are just like 2-dimensional keys that you turn in and unlock. And so I had just unpacked these cases. There was 6 of them. So we're going to put 3 on each side of the store. And it was going to hold painted models to put on top of the new bookshelves that we had just got to display. And I had just unpacked them. The locks with the keys in the locks were sitting on top of all the cases. And 3 new people I had never seen before come in and start walking around the store. I'm kind of like trying to engage with them, like ask them what kind of games they play and stuff. And they, for some reason, stop and focus on one of these display cases. And one of the guys picks up the lock and starts playing with it, while the other 2 people continue around the store. And then I turn around to put more merchandise away. Maybe 30 seconds, I turn back around, lock's gone, the guy has now wandered off. I'm like, well, the lock's gone. So I walk over to where the lock was, I'm like, look around, it's obviously missing. I'm like, hey, do you still have that lock? I just need to keep it with the case. Like, giving him an out, right? Trying to give him the out, okay, I know you stole this. Just please put it back. It's worthless to you. Like, it's not like you stole $20, right? Like, you can't do anything with this. It's just a junk piece of, like, crap. He's like, oh, no, I didn't see where it went. I'm like, are you serious? like you're going to go that way? It's like, and so eventually it got to the point where I asked his buddy, he's like, dude, I know he took it. You know he took it. Can you just ask him to give it back? He's like, yeah, I'll talk to him because he's already gone outside, and so it's just his buddy paying for what he was buying. I was like, I don't care that he wanted to take it. I just need it back. And then they all leave. I'm like, you sons of bitches! Like right in front of me. It's like for nothing. Like you literally stole it for nothing. Like,
yeah,
so annoyed.
Those are the one that like piss me off the most when I know they took it. I'm just like, just give it back. I don't care. And like, I didn't take it. I go, I know you took it. It doesn't matter that you're saying you didn't. I know you do. I know it's there. Just give it back.
It is literally a point of logic that you took it.
Yeah.
like we're not we're beyond the point that you took it. We're just now on what is going to happen.
One day I had the weirdest thing is, I think, so a kid had a Bluetooth speaker, like a really cheap Bluetooth speaker. You know, like you can get those things now, for $4 or whatever. He had a Bluetooth speaker, and he put it in my trash can. And then he had a cell phone, and he would just make a noise with his cell phone every once in a while, and so the trash can would make like a noise while I was trying to start class. And so he's just trying to be disruptive. And it started happening for a little while, and eventually, I asked, does anybody hear that? It went on so on and so forth. Now, I'm expecting him to laugh, right? Like you play a prank on the teacher, you laugh, you giggle about it. Eventually I tracked it down to the trash can, and no one's laughing. Most of the people are like me, like, what is going on? Like, what is that noise? This is weird. And so we eventually find it in there, and I go, oh, it's a speaker here in the trash can. Now, I have a science room trash can. It is not pretty in the trash can, right? There's always something going on in the trash can. And I was like, oh, man, I'm not reaching in there to get that. I was like, whoever's doing this, do you just quit it or something? Because if you don't, I'm going to have to throw this, away, on the dumpster. Because there's a dumpster, right around the corner from my room. I was like, I'm just going to have to throw this whole thing away because I can't reach in there to get that. There's, chemicals and broken glass in there. I can't reach in. And so everybody in the room has their hands out of their pockets, going not me, except for this one kid who has one hand in his pocket. I go, okay, could you quit? Or else you're going to lose this. Maybe you can come get it later if you're really careful. He's like,
noise.
No, it's not me.
Noise.
Not
noise.
me. And I'm just straight face, no smile, no pleasure. And I'm like, okay. And so I just picked it up and I put it in the dumpster outside. He goes, why'd you do that? And I went, what do you mean, why'd I do that?
Why are you upset?
And he was like, why are you upset? I just took out the trash that had I thought was your thing in it. Did it? Was it your thing? Yeah. And I go, then why'd you let me throw it away? I asked you to stop it and then you could come get it. And he just freaked out on me.
You had multiple outs here, buddy. None of this is on me.
Yeah, exactly. But you're talking about like very simple logic. Like I stared at him for a while. I don't do this to 8th graders because 8th graders, are so they have no moving parts going on upstairs a lot. But I stared at him for about 20 seconds, just like trying to figure out like how do I explain to this human all the things that he just heard again in a way that he'll understand. I do this all the time with science ideas. How can I help him understand that he was supposed to stop doing it so he could get his thing back?
I think it's like this like inferred ignorance situation with kids, because realistically, like even with hindsight, we know kids are dumb, right? Like real dumb, because they don't have experience, right? It's not because they're stupid; it's just because they're ignorant. Mm-hmm. They have not been in enough life situations to have knowledge.
Yeah,
and so they infer their ignorance on other people. They assume because they don't know what's going on in a lot of situations that other people don't know what's going on in those situations.
Yeah,
when it's really just them.
Yep.
And unfortunately, some adults have the same problem, but
That's
mostly children.
Yeah.
And so the kid's like, well, I didn't know who, committed this horrible crime. It's like, well, it was obvious to the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think it was also like, it's the attachment to denial. Like some kids learn if they just deny, eventually the adult gives up, right? Yeah. In this particular case, like I had a solution to the problem. I told him what the solution was going to be. And so he just kept trying the one tactic. Like that's the one tool he had. Just deny, and just keep doing the thing blatantly in front of you. Just deny. I'm like, but there is a consequence. The consequence is you'll have to lose this piece of technology because I'm not going to get it out of here. I'm not going to order you to get it. So I just have to throw it away. And he put it. And so the end of the story was the kid actually, not on purpose, wandered into the principal's office later that day because he was in trouble for a totally different thing because he was always a mess. And
surprise.
And so the principal came to me, knocked on my door, not jokingly, and said,
"So and so said you threw shit away."
Yeah. and I said, well, he put something in the trash, and I took the trash out. Is that what he meant?
After warning him that I was going to take the trash out multiple times.
He said, I asked him, how did your speaker end up in the trash? And he said, I put it there. And then I said, then you threw it away. And he went, no, I didn't. Mr. G threw it away. I go, no. You don't understand. You put something in the trash. It was then thrown away. And so then I told him the rest of the story. He goes, well, yeah, he threw it away. And he walked out. He didn't even he just kind of chuckled down the hallway. That was it. Just like, he just threw his speaker away. He just threw his speaker away and then tried to play a prank with it. And then I told that story to a class once, and one of the kids was, why didn't he just put it in a drawer? There's like 18 drawers in this room. I go, yeah, he could have put it in a million places, but he put it in the one place I couldn't help him get it back. So
clearly the most intelligent of the bunch here.
Yeah. Upper management written all over him.
Yeah.
All right, it's 10 o'clock, and I want to talk about this lizard guy. I want to talk about him. I got things to say about lizards.
Oh, hold on. I got questions first.
Oh.
How much money did you spend on Phi Lavelle?
I didn't spend $1.
I don't believe you.
You'd be really proud of me. I did not spend $1. I actually said...
I literally don't believe you.
I told myself, like, she's one member of a team. Like, she's not, like, the craziness that Silver Surfer and Kestrel are. So she's really good. Like, she's got, amazing stats and stuff.
How did you get the shards, then?
I just completed her. Completed the whole track. I completed the hard mode of her track today.
So did I. That doesn't mean you unlock her.
No, I unlocked. So you got like the number from the completion of each level, and then I got really lucky pulls. I got like 32 shards of just her. I got 32 shards of her and like 5 random other characters. So like 5 shards of other characters. I can't remember what it was.
You're a liar.
No,
That's fine.
I did not spend a single dollar on her. I just got
Parker,
really lucky.
We just talked about this. You're in the point where everyone knows you spent money on Marvel Strike Force. It's
No,
okay.
I'm really not. I was really proud of myself. I did recore for hundreds again, just like I did with Kestrel. Because
Well, then you're astronomically fortunate then.
yeah, I don't know. I completed every hard, and every hard gives you like halfway there. She's only a 3-star unlock. She only takes like 45 shards to unlock.
That's a 2-star, I think.
Sorry, 2-star unlock. She only takes 45 shards to unlock.
Still exceedingly lucky, but less so.
I think I got 28 shards from her orbs, and you automatically get like 20 some shards. It's really easy to get to 45. I wasn't that surprised. But I also, like I said, I cored to 100 already for the day.
I know.
No,
I know
not
you
cored
do that.
to 100. I cored to 200. I cored through 100s.
You scored the 1s and the 50s, yeah.
So I always core more because I've had a really awesome arena streak recently. I've been at rank 2 in my arena bracket for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I've up to 10,000 power cores, even though I've been spending every day.
Okay. How's guy number 1 doing?
Guy number 1 is so
Is he just like way bigger than you?
I've always felt like I spent a good amount of money on this game. Not terrible, but a good amount of money. And that's one of the reasons.
Jeremy, you gotta mute your mic when you take your headset off. It's like super loud.
When you guys start talking about Marvel Strike Force, you guys need to mute your mics.
No, because we have to talk to each other for that.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
You banging your mic around is just
I don't give a fuck.
terrible.
Deal with that.
All right.
My arena team is 327. His arena team is 542. So
all the monies.
Everyone in my he has a 6 red star. He has 6 red star Emma, Silver Surfer, Kestrel.
Holy shit! Yeah, he definitely spent a lot of money.
He just threw infinity money at. He has 6 red star of every like major arena character right now. So
Okay,
I don't even think
he's just an idiot. That's fine.
I don't even think anybody fights him. Like I don't know how you could. He has 200%. He has 200,000 more and like the strongest characters, and all
that's
6 or 7 red stars.
That's funny because that means he's missing out on all these event milestones that require you to arena attack.
Yes,
you can't attack in first place.
Yes, like all this arena stuff.
That's funny.
That's actually one of the things that I started running into. Is I literally would just at the end of the day I would just start fighting him because I've been at rank 2 or 3.
Yeah, you start attacking him and intentionally losing.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
I don't even look at the screen because I get instantly deleted by his first Silver Surfer attack. But it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Yeah, because I just wanted to get the stuff.
I mean, that usually means it's like a second or third account because when they do shit like that, because like if he joined as recently in you and he's already got a team that big, then yeah, he's an experienced player.
Yeah, he knew how to do it. Obviously, yeah.
Oh, you never called me back. I called you like 4 times. I was going to talk to you about my war defense.
Oh, I am sorry.
Did you see it? It was glorious. It'll never happen again.
The which one? From the one that was really awesome that we all kept sending you deflex.
Yeah, I got 19 defense victories.
I really like that.
Yeah, it was fun. Okay, let's get back to topics.
Topics.
Yeah, what's your topic beef today?
I don't know. I thought you guys picked one already.
Nope.
You didn't pick a topic?
No.
Ugh. Strong.
Well, how far are we on tactics cards? Are we almost done? Can we just
We're getting pretty
bust
close.
through them?
Tactics cards, we have 14 or 15 left.
So we have that.
Yeah, we can knock those out today, and then we'll have more next time because there's stuff that comes out in 2 days. It'll be a lot easier to keep up with once we are on top of it, though, because we only have to do
true.
Like we can just have a rating segment where we just rate the new cards.
Yeah,
and we just do that like every 2 weeks.
With
like
Craven's
that.
release, I also think that there's a topic out there with like, are we just producing like vanilla now? Is that the thing? Like, are we making sure just not to like top anything and just kind of produce a vanilla character that doesn't do anything that special to make sure that the game kind of stays in some sort of area? Like, you know what I'm saying?
You just don't rock the boat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Craven is the example we should look at for if that's true or not. But I mean, look at Scarlet Witch. Like, Scarlet Witch is noticeably different than every other character released so far. And is powerful, but probably not game-breaking. As where Kraven is just some shithead 3-point model, I don't think that that's, like, the litmus test for.
I mean, Kraven got released. Lizard got released. I mean, there's... all the X-Force got, like... I'm starting to kind of wonder, like, where's the limit? Like, are we getting close to, like, you know, where we know what a 5-point model is supposed to be? Like, can it... I mean, I think they're doing a pretty good job, and you know.
I think we're basically there where we know, like, you can take a look at something and know if it's like what it should be or not. It's pretty rare that we look at something and it's not correct.
Well, you know, I mean, you know where the health pool is. You know what its stats are going to be, and it will have one or two things that you can pay for that it does. And how is that going to affect the game?
Cable's the only really recent model we've seen where it's like in no man's land, where it's like, this is not a 5-point model, nor is it a 4-point model. So like, there's just nowhere to put it.
Recently.
Which is why, right, it's the only one recently. It's the only one that's come out probably since like Hela, honestly. Not Hela, Ant-Man and Wasp probably. Because everything I think since then at least has had like a reasonable place to be. It might not be exceptional, but it's like it's not obviously missing something. Because Ant-Man and Wasp came out after Ebony Maw, right? Let's see.
Yeah.
Check the stats.
Yes, pretty darn sure.
Yeah, it was 16, 17 era. Ebony Maw was 19. Ooh, yeah, and Ant-Man and Wasp 26. Yep, so they came out. I think pretty much since Ant-Man and Wasp, we've had reasonably acceptable everything.
I think we should do...
Cyclops. Cyclops.
I feel like we should at least add in, you know, we do the news and then we'll do what we're playing or whatever and modeling, whatever. I do think we need some sort of like maybe a small topic or something instead of just jumping straight into, or I don't know, something in there. I don't want to just always be being...
Dude, we got a Comic Corner, man.
It's true. Can we discuss like what our tactics cards are right now? I mean, like, is there anything interesting that's getting added in? Like, to me, like I've got a couple interesting ones I've been using lately that are a little different, just to kind of spice things up. And you know, maybe there's something out there that
we can definitely cover that in currently playing. I guess I could go to the forums if you want to do.
I think it's been a while. Check that out.
I stopped going because like there was nothing important being asked. It was like, what happens when you throw a car and it lands on top of another car? And I'm like, oh my god, not this again! Like, I can't do it. Like,
if your character falls off a building, what do you mean fall off a building?
Yeah. What happens if you're pushed off a building?
What?
You place the model off the building? I don't understand your question.
They're fucking superheroes.
Did you not read the rules? And like, I get that, like but the annoying thing is when you have made no effort to teach yourself the rules and then go to ask other people how to play.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Like, come on, put some effort in. Okay. Ooh, this is it started off real bad and it's getting much better as I'm reading. I actually want to know the answer to this question now. That's funny.
You got a good one, huh?
Yeah. Uh-oh. I know the answer to this one. It's sad.
Sad.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one.
Most of them aren't that game breakery. I mean, every time I log in there and check a few things out, I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm done.
Transform and attack range. Let me guess, if you place out of range, you still get to do the attack? Yup. I feel like a lot of these questions, and it's like not the person asking its fault, because they probably went to play it correctly at the store, and then someone's like, there's no way that works right. You need to go to the rules forum. And he's like, okay. And then he posts it like, yeah, that's what I thought. Like, it's like, I feel like that happens a decent amount as well.
The old
you can definitely tell the people. Yeah, you can definitely tell the people that are like, I have not read the rule book and I only kind of watched someone play one time. Here's my rules question. And you're like, what? Like, what are you doing to me? Don't waste my time. Oh, no way. There is no way that's possible. That's funny. I like this. This guy had balls to ask this question.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here's a good one. I've been kind of wanting to ask this one myself. Okay, that's how we thought. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I give you a topic.
If you come up tomorrow, Parker, what time do you think it'll be?
11:30.
Jesus. Jesus, titty fucking.
It'll probably be.
I say that sometimes, and people have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's the best curse.
Which one?
Jesus, Jesus, titty fucking Christ.
I've heard that so much, but I don't know what it's from actually.
Team America.
What was that from?
Oh,
Team America.
That's right. It was Team America World Police.
Jesus, titty fucking.
That's right. I was using. Did I tell you the most public time I ever said that, Jeremy? Did I tell you this story?
No.
One day, okay, so we had this party type that we had in my house full of guys in college. It's called Alcoholics Breakfast. And the point of Alcoholics Breakfast is we all got together and we made really nice breakfast food. But every single time you wanted to eat something for breakfast, for every portion of food you got, you also had to have an entire drink of something alcoholic that was like breakfast themed, like mimosas and Bloody Marys and that kind of stuff. And so, like if you wanted a sausage, you'd have to drink an entire Bloody Mary in order to have a single sausage.
Oh no!
If you wanted a pancake, you'd have to have like an entire mimosa in order to have a pancake.
Pancake?
Yeah. The point was that you would be toasted before the end of breakfast, like the toast that you ate. The idea is alcoholics don't have food for breakfast; they just have more alcohol. So that was the point: is you get to have a little bit of food, but a lot of alcohol. Alcoholics breakfast, and so.
So if I wanted like biscuits and gravy, I'd have to have like a 6-pack. Like...
You'd have to have 3 drinks, right? Top biscuit, bottom biscuit. You know, I don't know how many biscuits you put in.
4 biscuits.
So yeah, you'd have to get a 4. You have to get 5. You have to. No, you wouldn't do a 6-pack because that wouldn't be on the menu. It's all mixed stuff. So.
I have drank beer for breakfast more times than I can count.
There you go. You know what? If you can come up with a good reason to have it for Alcoholics Breakfast, you go ahead, because that's the point. Is you aren't thinking, you're just drinking your feelings before you can feel them in the morning. So we decided to have our last big Alcoholics Breakfast party before orientation day for my student teaching year. And I was in the house with another one of the guys in my student teaching class. That's how I got into his house at college. And so we had Alcoholics Breakfast, and he was like, "Dude, I have to be on point. I have to know all the stuff that's going on for the student teaching year. I'm so nervous about it." He's like, "I can't finish these drinks. What are you going to do?" And I was like, "I'll just have them." And so I drank like 2 extra mimosas, and another guy was like, "I got to go to work," and I couldn't finish the Bloody Mary. I was like, "I'll take it." And so pretty sure I had like 5 or 6 drinks along with the 2 or 3 extra I had from other people. And so I was pretty wasted. And here we go to the orientation for student teaching that year. And so I walk in feeling pretty good, way too good. And I'm in an auditorium seating hall in my university with probably 200 other students who are getting ready to do student teaching. And I'm sitting right smack dab in the middle of this giant stadium seating. So there's this lovely woman at the bottom telling us about all of the things we were going to do in our year, kind of giving us this broad overview. And at one point she says, one of the things that we're going to be responsible for is taking the teacher test, where you have to find out if you're going to be a teacher. There's 2 tests, one for general education to be in a school, and the other one specifically for your subject. Each test costs $250 for a total of $500. And now, the right side of my brain, which is normally really on top of things, was obviously out to lunch because I was so toasted. Because as soon as I heard $500 as a college student, I immediately launched from my mouth as loud as I could project, "Jesus tits!" Like all the way down the auditorium, all the way back up. It reverberated back and forth through this huge hall like twice, and everyone starts laughing. And because I'm pretty sloppy at that point, instead of going... instead of like slinking
Burying
down
your
and trying to
head,
disappear, I went, "Who was that?" I started looking around and making a scene. And every one of my very close personal friends immediately went, oh God, this is exactly what he always does. Oh, shit. And they all just tried to get really low. I was like, I never. But that's the loudest I've ever proclaimed that in the public space. Jesus.
were-
tits.
So okay, so not to one up, but my
Mhm.
story of something like that was we were having a graduation party for my ex-wife, and it was at it was at my house where I was living at the time with two other dudes, and we're all a little bit older, and she's got a bunch of basically high schoolers that are graduating, and we're all about 5 years to 10 years older. Well, we're trying to put this dock in the water, in it's like a lake is where I lived. I lived at Lake
A
Winnebago.
duck or a dock?
Dock.
Oh.
I lived at a lake, and the dock hadn't been in yet, but we were going to put it in. So these guys that were part of this high school stuff were trying to help me put that in. So I'm like, all right, guys, you want this dock in so we can have the party here, whatever. So all these people are over there, and it's all Janet's friends and stuff. And I'm starting to pull it in, and they're not like helping. And like I kind of slip and fall, and they're like not helping, and they're kind of helping a little bit. And I'm like, you pig fuckers need help. I had just been watching like South Park the movie a lot. I'd been watching that a lot. And pig fuckers comes up a lot in that movie.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like I realized
You're like a pallbearer, and they're
Oh.
like not trying at all. And you're like, dude, this thing's
Oh.
fucking heavy.
No, I realized I was screaming at these fucking like children. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like these 17-year-old boys. And I'm like, I'm 4 years
pig
older than
fuckers.
she was.
You
Oh, it
pig
was ridiculous.
You
And they
pig
just all were just like, and they started helping real hard. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we got the job done.
That's awesome.
There's an episode in The IT Crowd, which is a great show you can watch on Netflix. It's a British comedy about two guys that work in IT and their boss.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's actually a really good show. But there's a scene in the last season where one of the main characters, Roy, he's dating a woman that thinks that he is emotionally colorblind, and so she asks him to go to her uncle's funeral, thinking that he's gonna say no, but because he's realized that she thinks he's a shithead, that he's like, all right, well, I'll go. And he's like, I want to appear to be very helpful. And so he borrows this like pepper liquid from his buddy Moss, the other character in the show, and he rubs it in his eyes because he
Oh,
can't
God.
manage to cry.
Oh, jeez.
And it's basically pepper spray. It's like, but it's concentrated. He was supposed to dilute it, but he ends up not realizing he's supposed to dilute it. So anyway, he puts it in his eyes and just like immediately like his whole face turns red immediately, and he like starts basically crying blood. Like it's this whole thing. But anyway, because he's apparently in so much pain, and he appears to be so moved by everything that's going on, his girlfriend doesn't realize that he's faking this whole thing. And so she talks to the people at the funeral and gets him added to the pallbearers because one of them wasn't able to make it. And so he's like, would you mind helping carry the casket because you've been so touched by this person in his life who he's never met the guy. He's like, sure, I would love to help, anything I can do, because he's just trying to get in better with his girlfriend and mend the fences. And he's like 6'5", and he walks over and he meets the other pallbearers, and they're all midgets. And apparently her uncle was a midget, and so it's going to be 5 people that are like 4'1" and him carrying the casket. And keep in mind, all of his crying was fake. And so he's actually someone who finds most things very funny. And so he goes to start carrying the casket and immediately starts laughing in front of everyone at the funeral. And he can't stop laughing the entire time they're carrying the casket, which apparently his girlfriend and her family did not think was as funny as he did.
That is awesome.
But she doesn't dump him right then. She dumps him later.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's a great show. Most people should watch it. All right, well, we've had a pretty long preamble. We should probably get to this because we're going to run long. Parker, did you have something to say?
I was just gonna say, Jeremy, your South Park the movie reference. Whenever we go to a public place, the last thing I'll say, like, well, we used to go to public places, I guess, but when with my family, the last thing I always say to Sarah to embarrass the shit out of her is to go, when we need to meet up again, I'll just make the sound of the dying giraffe.
Wah.
Wah.
Wah. Yep.
Wah. And I will project that across H&M or Walmart or whatever the fuck we are. I'll just
Oh yeah.
wah.
Absolutely.
Wah.
Oh. So
And
good.
I know none of those 20-year-olds understand what the fuck I'm talking about, but I don't care.
Nope.
I love it.
I agree.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get started.
Oh my god.
Get it? Because we're other
Face
people
Off.
under our faces.
With Nicolas Cage.
We take off our faces. and
With
then
Nicolas
we-
Cage, he traded faces.
No, wait, hold on. We take other people's faces off and put them on, and
Are-
then we become new people. That's it, right?
That's awesome.
Nice.
Stupid.
What if Craven just became whatever model he killed?
I mean, didn't they miss like a huge opportunity to make a badass character? Like it totally could have done that.
Yep.
Like that wouldn't
what-
fucking change the game that much. Like who gives a shit? Seriously.
Like, what's the worst thing? Like, so if Craven kills Magneto, he becomes Magneto. That'd be pretty crazy.
How's he gonna kill Magneto?
That's exactly my
KO'd?
point.
Are you fucking kidding
Yeah.
me? You so deserve it. If that happens, you
exactly.
fucking earn that.
Yeah, you needs to be all hands on deck. We're gonna stop this from happening. But I guess there could be like a weird priority issue, and you could just like shithouse your dice. I guess.
How does
It,
how does Magneto
should-
not turn him into dust?
I know, right? But that would be like worst case scenario. But like I was saying earlier in the podcast, I think it's more about they want to test this and basically give it to people, let them play 10,000 games with it,
Yeah.
and see how close to fair it is, and then the next version of it, which will be like, I don't know, who else turns into other people? Is there like a body swapper or something in the game? I want to say like Clayface, but obviously he's a terrible character from a terrible universe.
Maybe they'll have a 4 or 5 point Mystique. I mean, she does grow up. I mean,
Mhm.
she
Yeah.
can be crazy.
Ooh, Rogue.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
Ooh, Rogue could kill people and take their powers.
They could go really weird X-Men. If they're willing to put Cassandra into the game, they could do Mimic. He's dumb. There's lots of
Yeah.
shapeshifters. Oh, they could do like Skrull, right? Super Skrull. That could make sense.
Oh yeah, Super Skrulls actually like does stuff.
Yeah.
God, I feel like we're forgetting somebody that just copies people's powers.
Mm.
Maybe I'm just thinking Sylar, and I'm not like. I don't think I am because I never actually watched Heroes, but I feel like I'm forgetting somebody that like duplicates other people. I don't know. Whatever, it's fine. Oh well, yeah. I feel like this has got to be like a play test for something else. There's no way that they thought this was fair, and there's no way that they just put it because if they were gonna put it in to be fluffy, they would have made it better.
Can you imagine how the
feel like.
playtest goes? Where they were like, okay, let's set up these new models. Okay, what list are you taking? And they're like, 1 through 10 models. And he's like, you're not taking Spider-Man? And he's like, no. All right.
Sets cards
Reset,
on
re-rack,
fire.
re-rack. Okay, what are you
Reset,
playing this time?
Reset. Well, I mean, obviously if they're doing internal playtesting, they're doing targeted matchups.
All right,
But-
re-rack. Okay, what else would you play?
I just wonder how many times they had to play Spider-Man into Kraven for Kraven to win.
Oh my god.
Maybe they started the match after Kraven killed Spider-Man.
All right,
let's just
throw
set
car
up a
at
game.
Kraven. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And then attack him. All right, he's dead. He's dazed again. All right, what's next? Will you quit? Stop fucking dazing my Kraven. Jesus.
yeah.
All right, re-rack. All right, what is your next list? All right, no Spider-Man. God damn it. It's taking
Ooh, I got it.
forever.
I got it. You ready? All right, this is the situation. Magneto dazes Spider-Man. Then, next turn, you activate Mystique. She double espionages. Does 4 automatic damage to Spider-Man.
Okay, I'm
then
with
Kraven
ya.
activates.
I'm with
Then
ya.
Kraven activates. Got it.
Interesting. Okay.
And then Kraven gets thrown into Spider-Man by other person.
Oh my god.
Got him! Take
Got
one!
him. Did it. You fucking did it.
No, Kraven's not that bad, right? Is he in the database yet? Nope. If I recall, he seemed like a fine 3-point character. I don't remember exactly.
No, I
what
mean
he
he's
did.
okay.
He's
like
no fucking Viper. Like, how did that model get printed?
Viper has only one good thing. There's only one good thing the Viper can do.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
she has the dodge ring or whatever.
She has the ring, so first turn, given 1 extra power, depending on what you're doing, she can jump up and grab middle objective and then back up long. I mean, she can give you an advantage on extracts.
She only needs 1 extra power to do that?
Yep. Or she can play Avengers.
I don't think that's correct. I'm checking.
Or Avengers with 1 extra power. It's one
I
of
find
one of those.
really Avengers with X. So you're playing Avengers and Advanced R&D.
Yep.
To do what Angela just does.
Well, a 3-point model to do what a 5-point model does? That's a pretty big difference.
We can all agree that 5-point model is not great.
No, it's not.
Yeah, 2 to place. I would say you could play X-Men and then do the free pickup stuff, but that doesn't work for non-X-Men.
No.
Couldn't you do
X-Men cards are so bad.
Could you do Inhumans? Couldn't Viper be Inhumans?
Sure, you could play Inhumans if 5 people dump power on her.
No. It doesn't work that way. So she would never get it with Inhumans because it's a first turn, first model move. You'd never get it.
Oh, you wouldn't get it if there's only 1 middle objective. You could get it if there's like 3 on the center line. But you're giving up the other 2 to get the 3rd one.
No, I'm just saying she only can really do it if there's a middle one that you want to grab first, like with initiative and all that business. Like,
no, this is actually exactly what To Me My X-Men's supposed to do. Is you double move somebody up, get an extract point, and then immediately play To Me My X-Men to get them to back up.
mm-hmm.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's just no one cares.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
If your whole strategy is I'm going to burn multiple characters and tactics cards to pick up a point and back away, you need to grow the fuck up. Like, how is that your legitimate win strategy? I do not understand that at all.
So I look at Kraven's card. I just look at Kraven's card just to be sure. He is a monster. He's just totally got to kill Spider-Man, and it's not even going to be close.
I'm glad you agree.
I'm a joke.
With all of his 12 dice attacks.
I agree you're a joke.
And they're like range 2 and range 3.
Oh,
yeah, that ought to get him.
I'm glad you brought this up. They blatantly lied to us in the Lizard panel to play. In black and white, no flowery language bullshit. They 100% lied. We cannot believe a single fucking thing they say from now on.
Because they didn't say minimum of 1. They just said reduce all damage.
They said Lizard can reduce any damage he suffers by 1. Which it's not any damage he suffers, is damage from enemy effects, and it's only to a minimum of 1. Fucking liars. Done.
Yeah, they can't be trusted.
Yeah. Even though technically they did not lie in the Kraven panel to play.
But hey, listen to this. Corner the Beast, his power totally works on Spider-Man. If he does it, he uses Wall Crawler.
Yep.
I can't even tell you how fucking stupid all that is.
Parker, are you even going to buy Amazing Spider-Man now? Should I just cancel your pre-order?
Because Kraven exists? God, Kraven counter is so hard out there.
Is that how you spell Sergey?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Sergey spelled out. That is weird.
That is how you spell it, Sergey.
Oh, no! No! They're doing it again, Jeremy. Do you know what his last name is?
Oh my God! Tell me it's Hunterus.
Kravinoff.
Oh, perfect.
Sergey Kravinoff.
Perfect.
I mean, it's no Blackagar Boltagon. Hopefully, Niko Lovich means hunter in Cyrillic or whatever the fuck language this is.
I tell you, they're just masters with language.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. What does Kraven do? Kraven advances, uses Corner of the Beast for 2 power, choose any character within 3 until the end of its next activation. Each time the chosen character advances, climbs, or it would suffer 1 damage and loses Wall Crawler.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, hold on. Then Amazing Spider-Man activates, places himself, and kills you.
Whoa.
Then I guess, what does he do? What happens after that, Parker? What does he do after he dies? He takes off his mask, right? And he was Spider-Man the whole time,
or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He starts stabbing himself in his own neck. Like I don't like. Oh my God. He's fine.
Kraven's fine. He's just fine. Not. This is exactly what Kraven's supposed to be, a joke. He's someone who's actually dangerous. He's a legitimately dangerous human being that cannot fight Spider-Man. It's fine. That's exactly what he is in the game. That's what he is in the comics. I don't know why anyone thought he'd be anything
They're like,
different.
Whatever you do, don't go after that guy. And he's like, I'm going after that guy.
You can't break those cuffs. I can break these cuffs. You can't break those.
That's actually what the final hunt is all about. Is him. Spoiler alert, if you never want to read this comics. But it's him trying to come to grips with why he's lost so many times to Spider-Man. because becomes completely obsessed with beating him. Right? He's the hunt
Yeah.
he can't complete, and Spider-Man always makes him look like a chump. So he's like, how do we possibly, like, what's wrong? Why do I keep losing? And it's about him
Parker-
coming to grips with that.
You know more about like animals and stuff than I do. So that's an agriculture, I guess, technically.
Hmm?
What is animals? What like realm of science do they fall under?
Biology, probably.
But it's just biology.
Yeah.
So
Zoology.
What hunts...
The study of animals would be
Zoology,
zoology. Yeah.
Okay. So what predators do spiders have naturally?
Cats.
What animals eat spiders?
Cats. Cats really hunt spiders?
Well,
I don't think that's true.
Any other arthropods, right? Like scorpions,
Okay.
other predatory arthropods, like other spiders will eat spiders. But
right, but I just meant because spiders are kind of the predators of the insect world. And so I was just curious, like,
yeah, they're pretty super predators. Other predatory insects that are larger can hunt them, like
maybe large beetles or something.
the praying mantises, assassin bugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also a lot of rodents will hunt spiders.
Okay.
all
Maybe
the
I was
birds.
just most predators don't
lot of
have
birds.
predators. So when I realized that spiders were predators, I was like, what? There can't be that many things that hunt spiders, right? Like that would just be a waste. They're like all skin and bones, right? When in fact they literally do not have skin and bones.
they have neither skin nor bones.
Literally, he's all skin and bones. He has no skin or bones.
I feel like I'm learning so little on this podcast.
Are-
Normally I've learned a lot.
Well,
I feel like I've
also,
learned
it-
less.
Also, it depends upon the spider. For example, like tarantulas are actually like a staple diet for a lot of creatures because they are
Yeah.
very meaty.
Because they're
They have-
big and slow.
They're also big and slow. Yeah, so there are lots of creatures that eat things like tarantulas, for example. But it is true there's not a ton of one of the main problems you've hit on the main problem, which is predators are not often prey, not because they are better at defending themselves, but because there is the food chain,
The value.
there's less energy available, right?
Mhm.
There's just less spiders. There are so many less spiders than there are ants and flies and other kind of creatures that are going to eat off of the primary resource in the ecosystem. So since there are just so many more of these other food sources available, generally predators are not eaten as often. But that's not because they are somehow dangerous to eat, but rather there's just less of them, so much less of them compared to the others. So if you are going to be a creature specializing in hunting an insect, specializing in hunting spiders might be a really bad evolutionary design because there's never going to be as many spiders as there are, ladybugs.
Yeah,
There's-
it's just less efficient.
Not ladybugs, because they're also
And-
predators, but butterflies, right?
Yeah, right. Other insects. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it, and also because predators tend to be just evolve more efficient than other animals. There just tends to be less value in taking out a predator. Like even lions and stuff. Like there's probably less meat on a lion than like the much slower animals that they hunt. So it's just like not worth it. And they're actually built to defend themselves, I think, much better than most like prey animals.
It's all about energy gain and loss. It's always about energy gain and loss. So how much energy will I expend to kill a lion versus how much energy I would expend to kill a similarly sized herbivore? And the answer is probably the herbivore is going to cost less energy, right? So
Yeah. Parker, you should check out the podcast channel.
That made me actually laugh out loud.
It got me. I was not expecting that. I thought you were like, we need to wrap this up. I'm falling asleep. And then I was like, nope, that is a man buried deep to the elbow in another man.
Mr. Finster.
Is that this guy's name? That's not really his name, right?
No.
The villain, Mr. Fister, defeated Spider-Man by exposing his only weakness, being punched right in the asshole.
The picture's amazing.
The picture is amazing. I can only imagine the noise Peter is making at this moment.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like the Wilhelm scream, but deeper.
Oh, that was good.
Anyway, but also if you think about it from like a resources standpoint, a prey animal is like the most direct source to the energy nutrients that you can get.
Mhm.
And every step down the predatory chain you go,
Yeah,
you're
less.
losing that efficiency from that transfer. Like
Right.
it got transferred to the original predator, which is then being transferred to whoever kills it, and you lose that by like breaking it down. Like there's an energy loss there.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense in a lot of ways. I was just curious because it seems like basically every one of Spider-Man's villains that we've looked at in this game have been some kind of predator. And I'm like, isn't a spider already a predator? Why does he have nothing but predators like following him around? Like he should be the
That's-
predator.
Well, that's actually the animal motif. Kind of like, how Batman, all of his villains are also crazy. Like he is, Batman is psychopathic, right? So,
Mhm.
so his villains are also crazy. Spider-Man is an animal character, and so almost all of his villains are also based on an animal. Even the scientist with mechanical arms is called Dr. Octopus. So,
Mhm.
like, they're all based on animalistic traits. There's actually another a lizard series that I love a lot that's less fun to read, but it's about the lizard acquiring all of the like actual like were animal villains that Spider-Man has, and forming like another Sinister Six kind of team out of just the bad animals. So there's another series
All
where
right.
he does that.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the recording, and we'll get out of here. We have plenty of stuff recording already. You guys good?
Yup.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You don't look ready, Parker. Well, normally you're very formal about when you're ready to clap.
Yep.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And stop.